It's April 28th. It is 3:21 a.m. I'm calling the front desk and they're not answering. Okay, well, it's not closed. It's 3:22 a.m. And there's no time limit where people come and get a room or anything. If I was a third party engaged in relevant positioning, for example, they would be available. This is knowledge that I am the one that's calling, and this is intentional not answering. I'm still going to document this, as they are fully aware of the fact that also that the television is not working in my room. That's not a malfunction. That's pursuant to harassment while I'm subject to ongoing monitoring. And they're monitoring the documentation, and so they just continue to block the TV like it's any less P.O.C. The state is amplifying playing activity outside the room. It's 3:25 a.m. When you are dealing with third-party group stalkers who are engaged in the crime of monitoring, they are, by necessity, monitoring your documentation. This is evasion of being documented while I'm going to report what they already know, that the television is not operating in this room, which is not new today. I documented this was yesterday. So yesterday they used a different means, which was the parental block, and now it's some sort of tuning failure. This is a means of engaging in the same criminal conduct while they are monitoring the documentation about their criminal conduct. And this is just not picking up the phone because they don't want me to record them. It's 3:26 a.m. Group stalkers do not sleep, by the way. They don't sleep. They don't rest. It is again April 28th, 2021. This is attributed to Economy N. This is a third party. Spectrum is a third party monitoring in concert with third parties inside of a private space. And that is attributed to this venue, which is facilitating P.O.C, engaged in P.O.C, and also monitoring the documentation about its engagement in that P.O.C. So not answering the phone is pursuant to that ongoing knowledge. I just want to be clear on that. It's 3:26 a.m. It is April 28th, 2021. It's 6:30 a.m. I did make a second attempt to call the front office again. And again, everything that I'm speaking to is under the ongoing facts that the state is monitoring and third parties are monitoring. So I just want to be clear. I want to document the third parties, the manager/owner did not answer the phone. This is intentional conduct while they are continuously engaging in interruption of the ability to watch television in this room. And this is just evading being documented. They're monitoring. They know I'm documenting them. And so they're not answering the phone. And again, this is a business. This is an innkeeper business. And this is avoiding my addressing the direct issue of the television again, not operating in the room. And this is for over 2 days now. The documentation I published yesterday, the television remained out of operation. All right, so that's P.O.C. And so they meaning third parties, are controlling the television such that it is inoperable to me so that is either turning off the screen so you can't see the television, irrespective of the fact this is internet. This is IPTV, it's internet television, it's internet operated. And in the same way that the state is engaging and controlling the television, where the screen remains on, the television is on, they're merely turning off the sound and then turning the sound back on with simultaneity to my consciousness, like as I awake, before I even move my person. The state is listening very closely, knows when I'm awake. The television volume immediately turns back on. In the same way, they are easily able to turn off the screen. And irrespective of the fact that the internet signal is strong, this has nothing to do with any sort of malfunction. It is the same exact pattern of conduct, and that is going to be the case where the government is monitoring. That's what monitoring is, by the way. I just want to document 6:30 a.m. Refusal. They're still not picking up the phone. This is all relevant documentation and criminal conduct. The state, and at the moment that I'm calling on the phone, the state is creating audible activity, which is supposed to be loud crashing noises, which is amplified inside of the room, meaning it is very, very loud, like somebody is standing in my room crashing what sounds like metal. You could compare it to what's supposed to be the sound of dumpsters crashing. I published a video on April 15, 2021 of the city of Ontario using their commercial vehicles, the dumpster trucks, to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring in concert with the state. And what I showed was 2 videos. First of all, the directed light. This is direct evidence as to what they are doing while they are in relevant position. They meaning any third party and or state actor. You are monitoring when that unnatural light is present. This is the city of Ontario captured on April 15th with this directed light all around on the surfaces, which I show. And I am also giving the example of what you are seeing. This is the state that literally created what I have called it, because that's it's tantamount to what the state is doing, literally playing a tape of some sort of noise, and you're supposed to assume that noise is coming from what you're looking at, right? So you're supposed to assume that that's sunlight that you're looking at, because there is an object in the sky directly above you that's supposed to be the sun, irrespective of the fact that it remains squarely above you in its zenith, everywhere that you go, every direction that you go, remaining for the duration of the entire day, as though the location, the address where you're at is the entirety of where the sun is going to remain for the duration of the day, where sunlight is, all right, rising and setting where you are. That is not the sun. And that is the documentation that the state has provided. That is what the state does with its light source. And while the city of Ontario is shown in this video, again, they are in a dumpster truck. They are in direct alignment to my position, and they are engaged in positioning themselves while the state is literally playing the tape of what is supposed to be the sound of crashing dumpsters. What you see in the video is that they are not even at the dumpsters yet. The truck is not at the dumpsters yet. immediacy of my opening up the door upon hearing what is supposed to be dumpster crashes. And that's how I knew to open up the door. And I capture that video. What you see is the dumpster approaching the dumpsters after I began taping, because they were not actually engaged in anything. The state was playing the sound of what is supposed to be crashing dumpsters in anticipation that it's going to be the fact that they are. Let me tell you what that is. That is actually what third parties do. They engage in waiting for or providing form for what is ongoing activity creation. All right. And so you have what is City of Ontario engaging in their business, their trade of emptying trash. This is an opportunity for the state to create audible activity. And also, let me be clear, even so, if you are engaging in any sort of business, such as driving a transit line, a bus line, you will even engage in deviating from what is supposed to be your schedule in order to provide form for the government that needs you at that moment. The government is very resourceful, using anything at its means in order to engage in the P.O.C. The government is relying on the outward form of third parties and or state actors. All right, the police, fire, and ambulance do the same thing. This is what third parties do. So using their business as a form, the outward guise under which the state is creating audible activity. That was not the actual dumpster. First of all, it was exceptionally loud, okay? And second of all, the dumpster truck was not even at the dumpster yet. I capture in the video how the dumpster truck proceeds after I step outside, begin my video, narrate what was amplified sound of crashing dumpsters. And also I am showing in that video how the dumpster truck proceeds to drive forward, extend those metal arms on the truck in order to actually empty the truck, the trash into the truck. Okay, that's what the state is doing. And I'm just giving an example. That's what the state did as I'm calling third parties on the phone who refuse to answer. They are engaged in ongoing P.O.C. controlling this communication device in this room. And it is ongoing persistence to that end to continue to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring and harassing and threatening conduct while doing so. It is currently 6:26 a.m. Not only is that amplification of traffic on the 60 freeway, too far to hear, that is also the state that's amplifying plane activity, and the state has been engaged in a hyperbolic level of flight activity. Now understand, the state is again playing a tape of the sound of planes while it is stalking. I've shown the video after video, helicopters and airplanes. The state is amplifying this sound. And so while I've been on the internet, it's 6:37 a.m. right now. The state has just been flying plane after plane after plane after plane, and group stalkers seen on camera sitting in their cars in the parking lot, loitering, standing around in the parking lot, sitting around on the stairs, walking around on the staircase, coming in and out of the rooms. The state is amplifying noise while they're doing that, and the state is stalking via planes. This is the same exact conduct that I'm always describing. This is what they have been doing and expressing what is hostility to what they're monitoring my publishing in real time. And so the state is flying even more planes at a louder volume because the state is always stalking. All right. And so as the state is always also monitoring my documentation, the state uses what is third party form for activity. So instead of hearing helicopter activity, you're hearing what is amplified. It's supposed to be traffic that you're hearing in your room, in the bathroom, and at the sink. That's audible activity. That's the same state action, a different method of creating noise. All right. It is at that same heightened abnormal level of volume, and it's for purposes of surrounding with audible activity while you are surrounded by the entity that is monitoring with communication devices. And so as it is monitoring this documentation that I continue to publish on my podcast, the state has been engaged in repetitious flight using airplanes as the means of audible activity over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I want to be clear on that. That is directly relevant to what I'm documenting about third parties such as Spectrum, third parties such as Economy N, both of whom are exercising control remotely over this television. It is directly tethered to that. All right. I want to be clear on that. And even when you are not hearing what is specifically plane activity, the same character of any audible activity that is occurring is pursuant to the same state action, first of all. And second of all, it is already established that the state is stalking by planes and helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance. Okay, it is unreasonable to even suggest that all of a sudden they're going to stop what they have been documented as engaged in for over 2 years now. All right, I just want to be clear. That is already established, and that is that which is ongoing while I continue to document everything else, state stalking is that which is occurring. Though that's what every third party whose name, whose license plate, who's in relevant position, who's under the state's directed light, everything that I document about third parties and or the state by police or fire ambulance or however the state is engaging in P.O.C., it's occurring under that ongoing universal fact of the state stalking directly by planes and helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance. That's the state acting directly. This is the state's criminal pattern of conduct, and the state is doing it through third parties. At economy end, they are continuously engaging in that P.O.C. The state creating the sound of what's supposed to be crashing dumpsters at the moment that I'm using the phone to call third parties at the front desk who are refusing to answer the phone. They are engaged in ceaseless P.O.C. Understand, a group stalker will engage in P.O.C. at the drop of a dime. You are not sleeping. You are engaging in exercising awareness of the fact that I'm documenting you, and you don't want me to record you. But that is means for documentation as well. So I just want to be clear on that. And that is also relevant and just as rich and prosecutorial material with regard to what the state is continuously engaged in while I'm in this room, which is a private space, monitoring using the communication device, which is the television, and that is relevant to what is ongoing harassment and threatening conduct while you are ceaselessly monitoring. I want to be clear, even when the television, and understand the parental block, in the same way that a user of the television is able to set parental blocks to block, for example, your kids from watching the adult channel, for example, you can do that yourself. You can also do it remotely. You can even set timers for a parental block. In the same way, the provider of that service is sure enough able to engage in that same sort of method to block your ability to access the television. Okay, if we can do it, if I can do it, they can do it. In addition to that, it's internet. Okay, so that is speaking to what is monitoring, period, point blank. All right, and in addition to that, the other method is nothing other than interruption of service using a pop-up. State, you can use a pop-up to say anything, and that it is the same conduct, literally, just using a different picture on the screen to do the same thing. It is accomplishing monitoring. It is accomplishing federal level harassment. It is accomplishing that ongoing communication of a threat. That is also an impermissible threat while you are demonstrating willfulness, deliberate determination to continue to engage in that which you are monitoring, which is the documentation about your criminal conduct. That's going toward prosecution, okay? So it's not just that you're monitoring with the state. It's not just that you are worthy of deportation if you are not a natural-born citizen, all right? And that's what economy and everything that third parties are doing. They're just having a field day beating on the walls and on the ceilings and through the floor. That's all going toward economy, and no third party is getting away with anything. The entity suffers together. It acts together. It suffers together. You prosecute them individually in that forum. But what one is engaged in, they're all engaged in. So no one is getting away with anything. And that's the significance of what I continue to document. So you have third-party group stalkers. You have the state that is literally creating noise. What the state is doing, how the state is engaging in the P.O.C., the people of the state of California are doing so with it. You rob a bank with your partner. You and your partner are both going to be prosecuted for that, and that which is reasonably foreseeable to precipitate from that crime you're engaged in together. You're going down together. And that's the fall with group stalking and monitoring. And this is a system that was never supposed to be, first of all, found out or ever supposed to be able to literally be construed and broken down, not only into elements, but into a policy whereby you can literally strike down every single actor. All you have to do is document. And in addition to that, where the facts bear the state engaging in kidnapping, which the state has done, direct testimony. So literally my recall, everything that I know, and my memory is very long, okay? Everything that you can recall is going to be sufficient for the prosecution of that public entity when you are establishing that pattern of conduct. So I just want to be clear on that. Not missing a note, not answering the phone is still pursuant to the same harassment and threatening conduct while you are interrupting the operation of the communication device in this room. This is not about just not being able to watch TV. This is exceptionally threatening criminal conduct by a government. Economy N is in the shoes of the government. Understand that. That's a third party. It's a facilitating third party venue in the shoes of the government, welcoming the government to monitor an American citizen, which is a threat to the life, the physical safety, and overall well-being. Understand the big picture of everything that you are looking at and considering what the government is engaged in. All right. So the state engaging in this chorus of planes and helicopters. All right. That's what the people of the state of California are equally and fully engaged in communication of that threat with the state, all right? And let me just be clear, enthusiastic about doing so. So this is all going toward that prosecution. This is going to the ways in which that federal policy is created, is formed, all right? This is directly informing that federal policy. Everything about the character that I have revealed of this entity goes toward that policy, which is absolutely necessary because you have seen what the entity is, you've seen how the entity conducts itself, you see what the entity is engaged in, you see how that entity needs to be treated, all right? And so anyway, it is April 28th, 2021. It's currently 6:45 a.m., and that is P.O.C. It is 8:49 a.m. and this is the state that is creating helicopter activity as it is listening to me drift into sleep. You hear the helicopter as though it's flying over the building, and that's not only pursuant to monitoring, that is also for the purpose of ongoing harassment as they're monitoring while I publish my podcast onto my website, thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com. Again, that's 8:49 a.m. helicopter activity over economy and amplified inside of my room. That's P.O.C. It is 9:05 a.m. That is helicopter activity again as I am on my website. And what I was literally engaged in was in the process of switching screens from my website to the podcast, and the state begins amplifying helicopter activity, and it sounds as though the state is flying over the room from the parking lot to the opposite side of the building, which would be the side where the field is, the grocery outlet parking lot. So flying from that would be from the south north. So flying north over the room. It's amplified audible activity. And again, the state is also engaging in merely amplifying the sound of noise in specific methods. So regardless of how the state is actually doing it, the state is stalking via aircraft, and the state is amplifying the sound of helicopter activity as of 9:05 a.m. And that is alternating with ongoing plane activity. That's P.O.C. That is also alternated with every other method of audible activity, group stalkers on the property, creating activity that the state is also amplifying. It's 9:06 a.m. It's Wednesday, April 28, 2021. All right, it is April 28, 2021. It's 1:37 p.m. The surveillance cameras will show on sirens. And again, that's amplification of sirens. Third-party group stalkers, meaning the housekeeper, are in relevant position on the second floor. The state is directing light onto the staircase, onto the walkway of the second floor. That's directed light. This is also a third-party group stalker in a white vehicle is going to be driving into the parking lot right now in relevant position as I'm opening the door. 7TBH 795. That's coming into relevant positioning, and the state is directing light onto the ceiling of the walkway as that car is driving into the parking spot. That's P.O.C. And the amplification of sirens as I am operating my phone inside of the room. And using, again, 1:37 p.m. is the documentation of Brooke with San Bernardino County engaged in monitoring the state's, again, light source directly over the parking lot. Impossible light activity, a line of orange light on the ceiling of the room as I crack open the door to talk to her, and she wants to tell me about the voucher expiring, which I'm already aware of. It is a means of creating activity following the third-party group stalkers in relevant position, booming through the walls. That's state action. Okay, that's the state amplifying that conduct, and doing so, creating ongoing earthquakes while they are intentionally engaged in not only monitoring but creating substantial activity where it is what is being created is, again, as I've stated, that which is an ongoing perpetual earthquake as you're opening and closing the doors next to my room, as you are engaging in activity next to the room. And I want to be clear, in 228, the door is on the opposite. So as the handle is on the side of the door that it is, that my door at 227, the handle is on the opposite side of that door for 228. So in other words, what I'm describing is behind the door, there's no table or anything. I've shown the inside of the room when I captured the third-party group stalker who's housekeepers who were loitering in relevant position in the room as I stepped out to get the old white man who's engaged in ongoing monitoring conduct. He's on the first floor. This is what I captured, I believe, on March 27th. This is P.O.C. And this is the activity creation that they're creating outside, which the state is amplifying inside of the room. And as I step out, the housekeeper is sitting on the bed. The other housekeeper is sitting across from her in the room in alignment to my room. They're just loitering in relevant position, and they're creating activity which the state is providing a microphone to. This is what is occurring while I'm in the room now before San Bernardino County arrives, banging on the door, which is amplified audible activity. And then as I open the door, impossible light activity onto the ceiling of the room, orange radiant light, and I just opened the door right now as the state is using sirens as a means of audible activity while the housekeeper remains on the second floor. She's monitoring. Understand it's group conduct. She is in the close proximity. That third party whose license plate I recited entering into the parking lot. She's acting in the same capacity as the housekeeper who is merely being visibly engaged in P.O.C. It's group conduct. They're in relevant position in the rooms. They're in relevant position on the first floor. They're in relevant position on Euclid Avenue, in the buildings surrounding this venue, and on the 60 freeway, systematically crossing path. This is the use of the sirens as I'm opening the door, and you're seeing there is nowhere whatsoever that orange light is going to appear onto the ceiling. And I have demonstrated this as the pattern. Third-party group stalkers walking down the street, driving down the street as I am walking down the street, and the state is engaged in aiming directed light. These lines of light that are occurring as they are driving past, they're systematically monitoring. That's what they're doing on the 60 freeway. They're monitoring. That's what they're doing on Euclid Avenue. They're systematically monitoring. They're in relevant position, and the state is directing light inside of my room. All right, that is analogous to walking on the street surrounding with light. I am inside of a room. They're surrounding with light. That's P.O.C. That is speaking to what that third party in that license plate that I recited is engaged in, speaking to what the housekeeper is engaged in, creating all manner of clamor while I am inside of the room. And or maintaining relevant position in alignment to me on the second floor while the state is creating all manner of noise inside of the room, none of which you're going to hear, and none of which is creating any earthquakes. This is federal group stalking and monitoring, and I want to be clear on that. It is 1:55 p.m., and that was what I was stating. Brooke with San Bernardino County is engaged in third-party conduct. This is the engagement in criminally monitoring. That's federal level harassment and criminal facilitation of monitoring conduct, and you're enabling the people of the state, the entity, to engage in harassment. You're participating in that criminal conduct, regardless of the substance of what you're saying. It's audible activity under facts of government monitoring, and you also happen to be present, adding on to what was ongoing activity creation. So loud that that it is heard through headphones. That's an exceptional level of volume. There is nothing that's occurring that should be that loud. Understand that. And this is the pattern. All right. This is nothing but activity creation inside of a room versus activity creation when you are outside being surrounded with activity that the state is amplifying versus living in a vehicle that the state is creating audible activity and amplifying against planes flying at heightened elevation. Is not going to be heard inside of an apartment building. It's not going to be heard inside of a vehicle that you're in. The state is targeting that audible activity. When you are flying up so high and supposedly coming from the Ontario airport, you're not going to be hearing. Why are you hearing planes? Okay, the state is not only flying at lower elevations, targeting the location where I'm at, engaged in amplifying that audible activity. It's the same with being inside of this room. This is none other than the same conduct at a different sort of venue. It is analogous to being in a private space, in a private residence. It is a private space, and that's all that the state is engaged in, creating audible activity, surrounding with activity while the state is stalking. The state is stalking. You are hearing the sirens, which is amplification. The state is not going anywhere. The state not only engages in merely creating the sound of sirens while an actual emergency vehicle is not in operation or driving by, the state also amplifies the actual use of the state's sirens to monitor as well. So understand, it's regardless of the source of the activity. The state is creating this activity to monitor under what is its light source over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, while the state is directing light both onto the second floor and into the room as I open the door. Absolutely impossible light activity on all fronts, all right? And this is while you are seeing what is the presence of the housekeeper. That's going to be seen on camera. Everything that they're doing is married to the audible activity. They're acting on behalf of the state. It is 1:58 p.m., and that is an ongoing indication of the state acting with third parties at economy and the sound of sirens. And I have already spoken to what is the ceaseless stalking by plane and helicopter at this venue, necessarily so to hear it inside of a hotel room, which is also amplification of that activity, pursuant to ongoing stalking by the state, which is facilitated both by the state in order to engage in monitoring, and it is facilitated by third parties in order for the government to engage in monitoring you. And that's what Economy N is engaged in, while they are directly engaged in, while third parties are, as a vicarious actor, directly engaging in that criminal conduct, which is serving to harass the one that is documenting their criminal conduct. All right. This is why you've got them surrounding and creating complementary activity that the state is amplifying. That is a vicarious actor directly engaging in that criminal conduct. Understand my terms of use. And acting in concert with the state that is directly acting via use of sirens, all right? That method of audible activity, that's the state acting directly, whether the state is literally playing a tape of the sound of sirens, or AMR or the Ontario Fire Department or the Ontario Police Department is engaging in sounding their sirens because they are stalking in relevant position. That is always the case. That is what federal group stalking and monitoring is, and that is also that which is already established in the state's pattern of conduct. It's 1:59 p.m. and this is Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, engaging in ongoing conduct that is serving to monitor, and it is also that which is impliedly threatening and harassing while they are aware of what I'm doing, because they're engaged in corporate invasion of privacy by entity as they are monitoring. And so this is serving the purpose of seeking merely just to disturb my sleep, which they are aware I'm doing at this time, and using the San Bernardino County through Brooke in order to do so, comes and bangs on the door and relays that information. And this is 2 p.m. It's Economy Inn, the third-party venue, and that is P.O.C. Hello, this is 227. I tried to call 2 times overnight. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I have... No, I'm not talking about 228. It's your housekeeper that's creating that loud noise through my room, into my room. I'm talking about your housekeeper. Yeah, I know, and she was creating substantial noise while she was cleaning 228. Being on the phone doesn't create booming through the walls and vibrating in the rooms, but that's not why I called. Thank you for being proactive, though. What I'm calling about is the television that has not been operating for over 2 days. And I called overnight because... Okay, so I'm actually not interested in you guys coming into the room again, keeping the room exposed and for a prolonged time, and you actually do not repair anything. The same exact thing that he claimed to be repairing before is continuing. And this is internet-operated television. It is that which you are fully capable of controlling, okay, whether you cannot address that if you want. No, I don't think so. The parental... Actually, spectrum is not necessarily required, where it is nothing but a parental pin that's required to unblock the channels. And that is an ongoing pattern while I'm watching TV in the middle of the night, or while I'm engaging in doing something in the room. All of a sudden the television is blocked. So someone is able to set parental codes and block the television. That's what's occurring, and that does not require spectrum coming into the room and fiddling around with the box, keeping the room exposed and open. I'm sorry? He already knows. He came before. What did he do? He put in a different box? Yeah. It's not an internet failure, though. This is internet operated television that's being blocked by a parental pin. It's they I'm sorry. They do not have to come in order to check what is a parental pin. Yeah, I'm actually not interested in them coming in my room. I want to be clear. So, hello? Okay. Is that why I haven't had television for multiple days? Okay, so how did you... So how did you know about the issue? That's how you... So you don't know that people that are staying at your hotel don't have television, which is a part of the ordinary stay at your venue? You said what? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, what? Uh-huh. Is this... Okay, so you're saying that other third parties here are having the same issue with their television? Uh-huh. And so this is the same thing that they already addressed on April 15th when Spectrum came and gave another box, right? All right. Uh-huh. And this is serviced by the internet, though. So I just want to be clear. And there's no failure with your Wi-Fi availability. Yeah, I know. Wi-Fi is working. And the parental code has nothing to do with coming in to bring in another box, though, and blocking the TV screen. The TV guide is still working. It's showing the televisions that are scheduled to be on. The television is in operation, and it automatically stops intermittently while I'm watching the television. And you're just stating that other third parties are experiencing the same thing. And so you did not communicate. People don't like without TV. Right. And this is going to require for him to replace the box again? No, I just wanted to get your statement on that. There is no need for Spectrum to come inside of my room again for that prolonged period like you did, and I experienced what you guys were engaged in. I just want to document this is ongoing in operation of the television, which is internet operated, and you're stating that other third parties are experiencing the same thing. That's legally irrelevant. And you're talking about that Spectrum needs to physically be present inside of the room in order to fix what is a parental code that is blocking television. A parental code that you could set, a parental code that Spectrum is able to set. Okay, thank you. Bye. It is 2:07 p.m., and that is a third party at creating what is audible activity and engaging in mentioning other third parties as her substantiation for the television not working in the room. Spectrum is a third party. Economy Inn is a third party. Every person on the venue that would vouch for, oh, my television isn't working either, is a third party. Want to be clear on that. And again, the source of the television not working, Spectrum, a third party already came, invaded the space in order to monitor where it is internet operation, where it is not an actual malfunction, where it is serving serving monitoring, which is the absence of coincidence, while spectrum is here aiming light inside of the depths of the room, which is not occurring from the property lights on the outside of the room, and it is also that which is not occurring by sunlight. Understand that was blue light, so this is the state using the color change in the light in order to aim it, which is equally unnatural to occur. It was shooting in the depths of the room, if you recall my documentation, not only a line on the floor diagonal to the bed as the door is cracked, also the wall of blue light that showed inside of the depths of the room, that spectrum, while spectrum was present and creating light activity by mere movement in that light that the state was directing. Again, this is light just appearing on the surfaces in the depths of the room. That's what spectrum was engaged in. That's an ongoing threat while they are engaging in maintaining presence under the guise of repairing the television, replacing the box, which is not a malfunction. It is the ongoing act of blocking television is not the suggestion that it's an actual malfunction either. That is monitoring conduct, first of all. And second of all, their presence is pursuant to P.O.C, which is shown in the video. And I recited their license plate, the Spectrum license plate, acting in concert with third-party group stalkers, also on surveillance camera as I recite their criminal conduct in real time on my podcast on April 15th, while Spectrum is present, engaging in P.O.C, providing the guise under which third parties are able to invade the space, which is a communication of a threat while you're monitoring in concert with the state, and the state is amplifying audible activity, and the state is stalking, all right? The state is stalking in their emergency vehicles, the state is stalking via planes and a helicopter, which has also been demonstrated in video after video, especially at this venue, Economy N2301 South Euclid Avenue. And so this is the third parties referencing other third parties to substantiate the ongoing inoperation of this television, which has been for a series of days. Understand that this is not only is this P.O.C, but this is out of the mouth of a third party. They are liars. This is the government that is saying anything and everything. This is the same entity that has engaged in monitoring me directly as I document their conduct under all the same hallmarks. And so this is documentation of that. It is in no way substantiating the fact that it is serving monitoring, period. And then while you are monitoring that documentation, engaging in the ongoing blocking of television, which is supposed to be, it's internet operated. So this is not requiring a new box. This is not any failure of internet. The television, that same television that is blocked from my ability to view, is that which the state uses on a systematic basis, especially as the television on, like I said, the menu at the bottom of the screen, which shows the programs, as the state is operating that television all day long while I have the TV on. Every time a new show comes on, that menu shows up at the bottom showing what's the new show that's coming on. That's, for example, if it's a 30-minute increment show, every 30 minutes that is showing up at the bottom showing what's the next show coming on schedule, okay? That's not the operation of the television. That's not how, in other words, that is not how the ordinary functioning of the television works. It is not a self-operating menu, which is actually interrupting the television as you're viewing it. That's an interruption of the screen. If you want to know the information, that's why they have the info button. That's why they have the guide button, and this is the state using it as a means of monitoring, and that is also based on the internet service, which is properly in effect. It's working. This is also that which is in conflict with what is supposedly the television that's not working, despite it uses it as a means to constantly create visible and light activity, interrupting the television as I'm watching it, providing information about the next show that's coming on, which I didn't press info, I don't press guide or anything like that. The state is systematically engaged in that, paying very close attention to what I'm watching and using the means of the television. What do you use the television as? Oh, well, watching television, you can constantly press, not constantly press, but constantly use the television as a means of creating information about the next television show that's coming on, which I did not request. There are functions on the remote for the television that provide that. This is the ongoing operation of the television unilaterally from my operation. This is the remote control over that television. I want to be clear on that. That is pursuant to the same internet. Okay, there is no failure of internet. This is that which they are doing on a systematic basis, and this is also while they are using the television as a means of monitoring the state, if not blocking it altogether with a password for a parental lock, which is not set. The only blocked channel is the adult channel, and that is that which is occurring pursuant to that same behavioral pattern of stalking with activity while you are maintaining ongoing real-time knowledge of everything that I'm doing inside of the private space, the hotel room. The state also uses what is scrambling of the screen, which is visible and audible activity as they interrupt the television show pursuant to that same behavioral pattern. This is not any failure of internet. This is within the same pattern of conduct. This is none other than a third party who is stating, oh, well, other televisions, they're not, and Spectrum has to come out and this is the provision for invading the private space, for trying to substantiate what is ongoing harassment while you're monitoring, and vouching using what third parties as the grounds upon which you are trying to establish that it's not targeting my room, and that other third parties indeed are experiencing the same thing. I want to be clear on that. That's what the significance of that is. Third parties are liars. That's the government that you're listening to that is monitoring, that is operating through economy, and they will, as I've demonstrated, as I've documented, will say literally anything. It's audible activity, and while they are aware that they're being documented, this is in the same way when Spectrum came to engage in that which was no repair whatsoever, and the exact same, literally that same night and every day since, the same exact conduct using the television, and it's not even difficult whatsoever, again, to use a parental block to block the ability to view television. I can set it in this room if I wanted to, and someone outside of the room operating and controlling the provision of the television service of the internet is able to do that as well, including economy and the manager owners of the venue. I want to be clear that providing the television service, which is tailored to the room for 227. It shows that on the guide. It shows room 227. They are aware of what I have available to view on the television and able to customize that. I want to be clear. Internet is not failing. And so that is just documentation of that third party. And that is everything that I'm speaking to with regard to the television. Spectrum is engaged in P.O.C. and economy, and they're jointly engaged in that P.O.C. using the communication device of the television, and those are third parties that are acting in concert with third parties that are surrounding, monitoring me to that complementary activity that is used, that is created through the television at this facilitating venue. That's a means that economy is facilitating. That's a means that Spectrum is facilitating for purposes of being monitored. And then while you are monitoring that documentation, because you maintain real-time knowledge of everything that's being documented on a communication device, even as I am writing it and or publishing it, you are also engaged in what is threatening conduct and harassment. And the P.O.C. is harassment, period. I just want to that's added on harassment while you continue to engage in that which is documented criminal conduct, facilitating the government's ability, because the government is present, as I just captured moments ago, sounding sirens. The state is repeatedly stalking by planes and helicopters. It is continuous at this venue, as is already established. All of the state's indicators are also present, the impossible light activity and the state's fake sun, over my room, over in the parking lot, and remaining for the duration of the day. This is inevitably P.O.C. And no explanation by a third party changes that. And regardless of any explanation, let's focus on what is the means of prosecution, the elements. And so that television is a means of engaging in the elements. That is what it is always used as. I engage in documenting it as such. And then I also go the extra mile of reporting the fact that the television isn't working, even though it's used for monitoring, and I understand this. Then they engage in what is ongoing harassment and threatening conduct by a third party, acting in concert with the state while they're monitoring. And aware of the fact that you're documenting them. That is all that is legally analyzed as. She can claim that it's Barney, that's the reason that the television doesn't work, or that the satellites in the sky have been turned off, and that it is affecting everybody else on the block. She can say whatever she wants. It's serving P.O.C. period, and this is a facilitating venue that criminal conduct is attributed to, not only economy in, but the people of the state. It's ongoing group criminal conduct. Everything that housekeeper is doing is attributed to the people of the state of California, who are engaged in ongoing group stalking and monitoring with the state. Intentionally so. San Bernardino County is acting in concert to that P.O.C. And I want to be clear on that. This is 2:17 p.m. And that is the the long and short of that is essentially the refusal to restore television service, and that's just a means of harassment that they have at their disposal, blocking the ability to see TV because they are frustrated and hostile to the fact that I'm documenting them. And I do advocate and seeking to enforce federal policy such that third parties of that nature who are not natural-born citizens engaged in monitoring American citizens, engaged in threatening and harassing. This includes the housekeeper. This includes third parties that I know personally. This includes third-party outsiders who I don't know engaged in the P.O.C. This is to be general federal policy, which is not out of norms. It's not an anomaly, with any sort of federal law where you are engaged in breaking the law and you happen to be one who is not a native of the country and you are deported back to your place of origin. This is that which is necessary for purposes of prosecution, for purposes of prosecuting the entity that is acting through the people. And this is what Economy N is engaged in. And so that's what that is going toward. I'm being monitored. That's already established, and they're using the television, which is an internet-operated communication device, including Spectrum, to physically come and engage in that P.O.C. with them, whether they come to my room or whether they go to another third party's room, by the way. They're in relevant position. Everything on the surveillance cameras is showing what is monitoring conduct. They're all in relevant position. In addition to that, the state is amplifying the activity that they're intentionally creating. So I want to be clear on that. So this is going toward that policy, and that's what that is. That is all that she is providing ongoing documentation as to her impending prosecution, representing the people of the state of California. Their criminal conduct is attributed to that group that is engaged in that group conduct alike. Okay, let's be clear on that. It is 2:19 p.m. The housekeeper patrolling back and forth, vibrating on the ground, which is impossible, sensational activity, but that's what the state is doing, while it is also amplifying at a lower volume such that it's not picked up on this phone, plain activity in relevant position outside. The state's fake sun is over the venue, the state's light source aiming light through the cracks of the door, and I want to be clear, that is substantial light, powerful light. That's the state's directed light, engineered light that's aiming through the crack at the top of the door that is casting light onto the wall, the west wall behind the door. That's very powerful light, and that is also impossible light activity. All right, the state is like the stalker that it is, creeping in, following, trying to get in wherever it can. That is also prefacing what San Bernardino County is engaged in. That is prefacing what Economy N is engaged in. This is prefacing what the people of the state of California are engaged in inside of a private space. Aiming light inside of a private space is that which is pursuant to that monitoring, to that unlawful engagement in monitoring with communication devices. And it also is relevant for that ongoing criminal conduct indicative of the ongoing constructive presence inside of that private space with the target individual, representing an unprecedented threat. That is sexually violent conduct. You're piercing in with your light. You're also listening to everything that the target individual is doing while they're doing it, because you are monitoring. And this is already established. I just want to be clear on that. That is the state working its way through the top crack of the door and the side crack of the door, which was not present before. I want to be clear. As I covered up the windows such that the directed light can't come onto the ceiling above the window and to the side of the window, the state has now creaked in with its impossible light activity through the cracks on the door, which is literally so powerful. A crack in the door. The door is closed. Okay. So what I mean by crack is there's some space between the door closure and the door frame, and it is the state is aiming light through that. It is bright, concentrated light that is casting light onto the wall, the west wall where the door opens up to, and the door rests on that wall. That wall has light casting onto it. All right. That is impossible light activity. That is the state's artificially engineered light for purposes of monitoring. That's no ordinary light. That's what the state is molesting with on a constant basis. That's what the state is invading the private space with when I have the window uncovered. That's what the state was aiming inside onto the ceiling and onto the east wall and onto the west wall as well until I covered up the blinds. And so the state is finding a way to get in that regard. While they are creating ongoing activity, and the state is creating sensational activity and providing a microphone to what the noises that they're intentionally making. The state also creating noises in this space as well. The state does the same thing as I've documented while I was at third-party facilitating venue, the hotel at the top of Vineyard. I want to say that was the Ramada, and the state was aiming light through the peephole. Okay, so there was a lamp that was aligned to the front door, and the peephole was a means of aiming light through that peephole onto what I saw was an enlarged circular spot of light onto the lamp. and it was coming through the peephole. That is what the state is engaged in, concentrating. And if they are aiming light, basically you can leave it to for purposes of what is monitoring and invasion of that entity in all manner. Okay, not only audibly, but with its light source, and also they are able to engage in all manner of surveillance while they are aiming light, and able to aim light in such an incredulous manner through a peephole. All right, and it created a large circular light on the lamp, which was aligned to the door. And so I covered up the peephole from that moment on, seeing how the state is engaged in that level of targeting where I am located, especially with its light, which is serving to monitor. All right, this is what the state is doing through the crack in the door as the door is closed. So light through around the door frame. And again, that was not present. It was at the bottom of the door, and the state was using that as a means of creating light activity. So not only is this impossible light activity as third parties are walking past, blinking light, meaning like as though where they're walking past, that light is being obstructed and appearing again. That is the creation of what is flashing light. Understand what that is: light coming on and off, light appearing, disappearing. That is analogous to the flashing light. The state was creating light activity through the crack in the door at the bottom of the door. As I block that, the state has now used it, created that at the top of the door, which was not present before. The state is working its way inside as I cover up its means of invading with light. I want to be clear. This is economy N. They are third-party group stalkers. The television is a communication device used for monitoring, and it is also used for harassment and threatening while they are aware of everything that I'm documenting about their criminal conduct. And every single last one of them monitoring at this venue in concert with the state, in concert with each other, and those who are engaging in that. And I'm focusing on that because I happen to be aware of the fact that it's very likely that these managers and owners of this venue are not American-born citizens. And I am advocating deportation upon federal prosecution, and they are going to be prosecuted. This is something that the government, which is a criminal, has no position whatsoever to shield from, and they certainly cannot shield from prosecution. The government itself is being prosecuted. The government has engaged in literally the corruption of what is society. It is presenting a harm to society as it's engaged in criminal conduct with the people of the state operating this criminal system. All right. Deportation is that which I am advocating, an ongoing demonstration of that worthiness to be deported upon their federal prosecution, engaged in ongoing malicious and deliberate criminal conduct. Ongoing blocking of the television is in no way deviating from that ongoing pattern of conduct, or the fact, or in any way demonstrating or providing substantiation in the absence of any argument for the state. And the people of the state are in the shoes of the state. Understand that they're being prosecuted, and so there is no argument whatsoever that's helping as you are continuously blocking the television that is internet operated, which is a communication device historically documented as a means of monitoring inside of a private space. Monitoring, period. Even when you're in public and a television is there, it can be used in the same way. That's what I'm stating. This is that which is a P.O.C. regardless. And because that is what is occurring where the government is monitoring. And that is already established. So this is going toward economy N, and this is going toward that ongoing criminal activity. Insisting on waking me up in order to harass and threaten, that is going toward their prosecution. That is going toward what is the true character of the people of the state. Third parties who engage in that sort of conduct in concert with the state. And why hostile? Because I am uploading and I'm going to continue to thoroughly expose on my website, on my podcast, and on social media, the criminal conduct that I have documented thoroughly since 2018. Engaging in that conduct that they're engaging in more of the same is in no way going to stop their prosecution. It's in no way going to stop nor deter me from uploading and publishing that criminal conduct, which lays out the entirety of the case against the state. All right, I have it published already, but this is the connection of the dots, and you're seeing from the beginning up to the present, because it's an ongoing criminal act, which economy N is inextricably linked to. They are continuing it on behalf of the state. All right, this is P.O.C. headquarters while I'm here. San Bernardino County coming and communicating that what is a threat, monitoring with the state at this venue in order to let me know that I'll be leaving. So that's a matter of documentation. The voucher is expiring. San Bernardino County, recognizing her name as Brooke, an overweight Caucasian female, brunette hair, freckles on her face, and seen walking from my room at 1:37 p.m. on surveillance cameras, present in the room, monitoring me with the African male going by the name of Kim. They were both monitoring me. Then every time that they are coming, I'm being monitored. You're just talking about what's their excuse for being present while the state is monitoring and stalking, and you are in relevant position, period. So that is P.O.C. It's 2:27 p.m. And the state is using airplane activity, which is turned down in volume because they know that I'm documenting it. And I've already established the fact that I don't have to make up what the state is doing. And so the state that is monitoring is aware of the fact that I'm documenting and publishing it as they're monitoring the plethora of videos, hundreds of podcasts that I uploaded pursuant to that same stalking where the state is creating plane and helicopter activity. And so they're creating this activity now and they're turning the volume down. I can still perceive it, but it is not loud enough that it is picked up on this podcast. I want to be clear, it's 2:28 p.m. And as I'm creating this podcast right now, the state is sounding ongoing plane activity. And what is seen on camera, the housekeeper, she's monitoring. She's engaging in that criminal conduct using her position with Economy In as an employee, but she is a third party. Understand she's doing nothing other than using that position as a means of maintaining relevant position, creating that which is impossible, audible activity. Nothing that you're doing as a housekeeper is going to create earthquakes, all right? Nothing that you're doing as a housekeeper is going to result in what is supposed to be sounding like they're dragging metal and heavy items, which is also amplified in volume, all right? All they're doing is sweeping and mopping. And understand they're even doing that for purposes of monitoring everything that you're doing, all right? It's P.O.C. at P.O.C. headquarters, 201 South Euclid Avenue, April 28, 2021. It's the room 227 where I remain, and everything to that end, the entirety of the time that I've been here, the entirety of the time that I was here in August of 2020, which I documented where the state's fake sun remained directly over me, following me from city to county, from block to block, remaining over my head, and it is present over this parking lot, which is mutually exclusive to every location as I continue to show what the state has been engaged in to date, and they are engaged in that ongoing conduct while I'm here, representing a threat, monitoring an American citizen, and doing so in concert with the government, while they are maintaining awareness based on the nature of the crime. You're not only monitoring, you're aware of what is being documented about your criminal conduct, which is speaking to the character of your criminal conduct, which is entirely threatening on an unprecedented level, because it's government conduct, all right? That is P.O.C. It's 2:30 p.m. 7 TBH 795, loitering in relevant position under the state's fake sun. That vehicle seen driving out of the parking lot as I open the door. That's called relevant positioning, and aware of the fact that I'm opening up the door, the simultaneity with which they're engaging in relevant positioning. And it's 2:33 p.m. And that I just want to be clear, that third party that drove in while the state was sounding sirens as I opened the door, again, driving out of the parking lot, that's P.O.C. It's 2:33 p.m. And that is the state amplifying plane activity. That's what that is. While you're hearing what is also loud chirps, there are no birds over here. If you pay attention to my videos, and as I've described, the state uses that as a means of surrounding with activity, which I noticed when I was living in my car in different cities, even while I'm at the park or at what was on the side of Valley Boulevard in Pomona. And there are no birds, okay? And you're hearing loud bird chirps. This is a means of creating noise, and those are very loud bird chirps that also happen in the middle of the night. That happen while I'm inside of the room, so loud that it is heard. Everything is turned up as far as the natural audible volume and that which is not actually even going to create an impact. And this is just a matter of being aware of your surroundings. But those loud bird chirps, that's audible activity. All right, that is a means of the state creating noise, which is heard at all times, day and night. And I want to be clear, there are no birds over here. And I've already shown in video after video. You're not seeing a whole bunch of birds that are flying around underneath the walkway, and they're not congregated on the roof over here. This is a means of audible activity, and what you hear in the background is the state amplifying plane activity as I'm reciting that third party's license plate. And she was engaged in P.O.C, loitering in relevant position, monitoring with the state that was sounding sirens as I open the door. She drives in, loitering, maintaining presence, listening to the entirety of my recitation of P.O.C for this entire time. And as I open the door, she is loitering in relevant position, sitting in her car and driving out. All right, already group stalking in the parking lot, sitting in her car, knows that I'm opening up the door. I'm just speaking to what is the ongoing conduct of third parties. They are engaging in P.O.C, which is relevant positioning. It's light activity as you're moving under the state's light source, and they are doing it with simultaneity to what I'm doing because they are maintaining knowledge of what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And that is the sound of what was the state amplifying plane activity, while you also hear what is very loud bird chirping, and there's no birds over here. There's no birds on the roof. There's no birds over here that are creating that. And that is the means of audible activity day and night, by the way, bird chirping. Very loud bird chirping, by the way. It is what I call layering. You're hearing loud bird chirping. You're hearing what's supposed to be loud traffic. You're hearing what are third-party group stalkers as they're walking by. Everyone sounds like they're the Hulk walking by. The housekeepers that are supposedly cleaning, sounding like they're dragging metal across the floor, which is creating an earthquake. You have the state, which is amplifying plane and helicopter activity. So like I said, where the government is monitoring you, especially at this level, it's always going to be sounding like Vietnam. All right. And so this, because they are maintaining activity and they're doing it at a heightened level, very hostile to the fact that they are being documented and systematically exposed, and which is going toward their prosecution, which is already secure. The prosecution is already done. All right. I am serving the purpose of educating the masses on how to do it. All right. Only even one day of this sort of documentation would establish the P.O.C. I have surpassed that. All right. I'm showing what is the existence of a real system, what is the character of this entity, which is speaking to informed federal policy. All right, because of the nature of it, and you can engage in that sort of conclusion based on what is group criminal conduct. And so you are characterizing how a group conducts itself when it is monitoring, when it is group stalking. And so this is unprecedented. This is new. This is that which legislation has not addressed before, but it is fully called for. And this is what the totality of all of my documentation serves. It's serving more than one purpose. Okay. This is not a fallacy, and this is necessary federal policy in every way that I'm advocating, in every general policy outside of the prosecution of the entity, but also a means of that punishment that is just as a matter of doing substantial justice upon an entity engaging in this sort of conduct. So anyway, I just want to recite that license plate of that third-party group stalker. And again, she's not acting alone. She's acting as a group. She's just one that I see. Group stalking, sitting in her car in the parking lot, creating light activity and engaging in relevant positioning as I open the door. All right. She was monitoring before the moment I opened the door, monitoring the entire time, monitoring as she drove in, and the state was sounding sirens, okay, pursuant to that same behavioral pattern. So that's that license plate that I recited, and that is the state amplifying plane activity as I open the door, and directed light is on the second floor. The state's fake sun is over the parking lot, directly, squarely above this parking lot, and the housekeeper engaged in ongoing activity creation. That's P.O.C. All right, the images that I took at 2:41 and again at 2:43. Those are pictures of the door of the hotel room, the crack in the door that, as I'm referring to it, this is actually the small space of the door frame between the door and the door frame, which again was not there before I obstructed the state's ability to aim directed light into the window, at the top of the window and on the sides of the window. And so the state has created this space. And again, when I leave the venue, when I go to grocery outlet and I document P.O.C. as I go from there and back, it is not in any way outside of the expectation that they are going in the room when I'm not here, and doing so without my knowledge. I want to be clear on that. Anytime captured on surveillance cameras and they're in the room and I'm not here, it is outside of my knowledge, and it is certainly not pursuant to any request that I've made. And it is also intentionally done while I am not in the room, and they know that I'm not in the room. I also want to speak to what is the creation of this space in the door such that light is aiming through, following my obstructing the light that the state is aiming upwards. That will be from the ground up for that directed light that I captured in video and pictures onto the ceiling above the window and onto the east wall, which is requiring light being aimed east in order to aim light in that direction, which is inside of the depths of the room on the second floor. This is a shaded walkway. I have already established that's ILA, that the state is aiming into the room. And why? Because they're monitoring, because they're engaged in group stalking and monitoring with communication devices. And so I took a picture of that because I want to be clear that's a development, a recent development that was not present. There was a crack in the door, again, like I stated, at the bottom of the door, which I also spoke to, which was used as a means of light activity, implausible light activity, walking by under what is a shaded walkway, first of all, and not casting what is such rich radiant light inside of the room such that it's casting a shadow onto the floor. And it's a means of a light activity as third-party group stalkers walk by, and this supposed light that's aiming, that's manifesting itself inside of the room is appearing and disappearing. That's supposed to be a third party walking by, and the light is being blocked because they're walking by, trying to provide an explanation for what is inexplicable, which is light appearing under what is a shaded area, under circumstances where sunlight is not ever going to be appearing, and it is certainly not such that it is so powerful through a crack in a door frame that it's casting light onto the ground, and it's that which is used as a means of light activity. This is P.O.C. Okay, but I want to be clear, that was at the bottom of the door, and I also obstructed that. I covered that. The state has worked its way through the top door, through the top of the door frame, and that's what I took a picture of. And that door frame, that is that light, that's rich, concentrated light, that is in direct conflict with the shade that you're seeing on the ground. And understand, the state is engaging in aiming light in multiple directions. That directed light that you're seeing on the edge of the walkway, that is never occurring. That's not sunlight. That's the state's directed light. The light source above the parking lot is never occurring. That's not the sun. That's the state's light source. And the state is directing light onto the walkway pursuant to the behavioral pattern of keeping light onto the surfaces surrounding me. And this is the state also aiming light from inside of the doorway, at the top of the doorway. And that's what I took a picture of. It's very bright, concentrated light, and it is so powerful that it is casting light onto the west wall behind the door, right? So as you open the door and the wall behind the door where the door would stop being able to open, that wall has a line of light which is supposed to be coming through the door frame. That is absolutely impossible light activity. That's very powerful light, by the way, though. Okay, this is what the state is using to monitor, and I want to be clear. That's what I took a picture of at 241 and 243. That is invading inside of a private space with the state's directed light. This is pursuant to federal policy, and it is also indicative of what the state is engaged in. As I've already established it, this is pursuant to that policy that has been designed to prosecute every criminal tactic of the entity that is acting directly and vicariously, acting together as one to monitor. All right. And that's what I captured in those pictures. It's 2:48 p.m. All right. I did just now capture a video of what is the ongoing indication and the communication of a threat on more than one level. First of all, the state's directed light, as I'm showing it, the state is casting light while it is on the surface appears to be in the shade. All right, this is the state using its engineered light. This is not ordinary light. It is certainly not sunlight, and that is not the state. That is not the sun that is directly over my room, as I stated, as I stepped out to capture the state's light. So it's directly above the roof where I am, over my room. It's over me at 2301 South Euclid Avenue at this time, 2:57 p.m., where it remains for the duration of the day. That in and of itself, I've captured video as early as 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. The state's fake sun is over the same location, over this room, to the feet away to the left of me, which is supposed to be the east. And then this is hours later at the same day, and it is remaining over the parking lot. All right. And as I also pointed out in video, as I walk to the center of the parking lot, or I walk to the
opposite end of the parking lot, that fake sun, that light source remains over my head, which is distinctly different from being over the edge of the roof of the building. And as I walk toward any different location, that fake sun is no longer over the edge of that building. It is over me as I move. And this is what I've captured in video countless times. And as I go from place to place as well, because you are not both over me over the entrance of the Stater Brothers parking lot at 646 West Holt Boulevard, at the same time in its zenith directly over my head as I'm standing in front of the entrance doors, and over Economy Inn over my room at 227, and over the apartment building at Woodside Senior Apartments, apartment number 51 directly over me, and over what is supposed to be the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, as I've shown the state engaging and maintaining presence there, and then setting as it's aiming its impossible light activity inside of the cafe, as I've shown as well. This is the pattern, and this is what Economy Inn is engaged in, because this is what the people of the state of California are engaged in. And I just want to show, you're looking at what is supposed to be on the surface standing in the shade, and I'm showing what is the enlarged shadow of my hand of this third party who exits out. She's creating activity. She's creating light activity. She's creating audible activity. And she's doing so under the environment that the state has created. She's monitoring, and understand that the state is the one that is creating this environment. But the third parties are intentionally and with knowledge adding to that environment, maintaining presence, group stalking. And that's how the system works. And so all they have to do is be present, creating any kind of noise. The state is applying a microphone to it. And that's what I captured in video. And also, as I open the door, you're seeing what are multiple shadows on the ceiling in the depths of the room, on the walls. And this is also speaking to the light that I'm capturing is aiming through the top of the door, like I captured at 241. And you're seeing what is shade outside of the room. This is absolutely impossible to coexist. This is the state's light source. This is supposed to be the sun that's over the room, but how is light being squarely aimed through the crevice of the door, and it's so intense that it's casting light onto the west wall. That is called impossible light activity. This is impossible to coexist. You have light that is being cast while you are in the shade. Shade is in direct conflict with being in what is direct light, which they're trying to draw a contrast by having direct light on the edge of the second floor versus the shade. But yet you are casting light such that my shadow is appearing, and it is enlarged. This is that light that the state is aiming. Understand that the state's light is it's engineered light. Okay, so this is not sunlight, and I have shown that it is not normal light, as it is that which is used to create light reflection, light formations on the asphalt off of vehicles. This is not the ordinary conduct of light, as I've shown how it manifests itself, and while doing so, then helicopters began flying over my head. But I showed this, for example, inside of the parking lot of Stater Brothers, walking up what is Plum and at Holt Avenue, in the state's light source is directly over my head, but it is also the directed light is on the ground as the state's engineered light is reflected off of surfaces. This is not sunlight that's creating this powerful, rich, concentrated light onto the surfaces around. And this is also that which the state is able to aim into an environment, and you don't see the light in the environment, but you see it as it touches surfaces. That's what the state is doing, okay? Because you're supposedly in the shade, but you know that light is being aimed on you because you're seeing your shade manifest. That's the beauty of light, all right? Where you can see a distinct difference between light and the darkness, and the shadow that casts from light being casted onto an object. And so the state's engineered light is that you don't actually see it in the atmosphere, but you can see it as it hits the surfaces. This is also shown in the April 15th video where spectrum is present and the door is open. Spectrum is in relevant position, creating light activity, moving in the state's blue tinted light onto the far wall where the mirror is. And I'm capturing video of it, but you don't see blue light on the floor. You don't see blue light being aimed into the room. You just see it as it hits the surfaces. And that is the wall inside of the depths of the room, which is also impossible. That's not light coming from the outside hallway that lines the hallways of the property. That's not light from the parking lot. And that is not light that is actually naturally behaving itself, because light that is casting from, for example, a a light bulb is hitting the ground, it's hitting the wall, it's hitting everything where it is being cast. The state's light is aiming light into the environment, and you don't even see the light, you just see it as it hits the surface that it's being aimed at. The state is aiming light at the wall, and so this is why it is only hitting that wall. It's not seen on the bed, it's not seen on the floor, leading up to the wall. All right. This is also in conflict with nature, because aiming light is going to, light that is naturally occurring is also going to hit the ground, and it's going to trail in that regard. The state's light is not only not seen in the environment as it's being directed, it's seen where it's hitting the object that it's being aimed at, and it is also not touching anything else. It's only in that video you see it's only hitting the wall. There's no blue light touching the floor, touching the bed. It's aimed over those objects onto the wall inside of the depths of the room as the door is open, while spectrum is moving about creating light activity. That's P.O.C. Okay, and this is what I'm capturing in this video. The state is casting light, and the enlarged shadow is also speaking to the fact that this is light that's being casted horizontally. This is not light that's coming from what is the fake sun directly above the roof. That is impossible to coexist. It is also in the shade, all right? That's in direct conflict with the environment that the state is creating, all right? The state is, I wouldn't call them an artist, but they are creating the environment around, and they are, they're inept artists, but they are creating this environment where you're seeing light versus shade. That's the state is invading with light at all times. The state is invading the crevice of the door that I took a picture of. It's casting light inside of the room where the door is closed. The state is casting light in the shade. And this is why my hand is shown. The third party's movement is creating light activity onto the door while we're standing in the shade. This is the same thing that I also captured in video while the third party group stalkers on the first floor, whose license plate I have recited timeless times and believe in room 116, while they're engaging in monitoring via harassment, and still exhibiting that same obsessive concern with me and what I am doing. They're just monitoring, creating audible activity through the form of harassment. And again, what I described was the enlarged shadow. That's exactly what I showed in the video right now. That's what was occurring at nighttime, by the way. And this is what is occurring right now during the day as I captured this video. So you're going to pay attention to that. This is also, again, as I stated, the shadows, the multiple shadows that I'm capturing in the video as the door is open. This is P.O.C. Also pointing out what is the threatening and understand the legal analysis of that, where the target individual is documenting, meaning they're aware of the fact that they're being monitored by a government. That's a communication of a threat. And that is also invading the private space where you're monitoring. You're necessarily engaged in corporate invasion of privacy while you're monitoring. You're engaged in sexually violent conduct, creating that light activity in a private space while you're physically indisposed, creating activity to that criminal end. This is what economy N is engaged in. That conduct is attributed to economy and fully engaged in that, as I have described today earlier, while they're monitoring and engaging in harassment and threatening conduct, while they know that I'm sleeping in the room, creating amplified audible activity, sensational activity is what the state is creating, earthquakes while they're supposedly cleaning the room, and while this lit environment is ongoing. This is not new. I've already captured this. I'm providing legal analysis as to what is ongoing criminal conduct. Amazon Prime intentionally engaging in crossing paths on Euclid Avenue, crossing paths on the 60 freeway. This is intentional conduct by a third party aware of the fact that they're being documented. And the communication of the threat, understand, seeing that brand, which is aware of the fact that it has been identified as a third party actor, is a communication of that threat. And this is intentional conduct by the third party Amazon Prime, acting as within that same group. Amazon Prime represents the people of the state of California, operating under a brand, a logo, a company name, engaging in the same exact criminal conduct for purposes of monitoring, and doing so with ongoing knowledge of the fact that it has been documented as such. All right, and so the presence of the logos surrounding on Euclid Avenue and on the 60 freeway. And this is also, while I am describing what is the environment of the state that's monitoring, that's intentional conduct. Third parties, as I've shown, as deliberate as the state is with its light, and that is the absence of the mere unnatural and impossible character of this light is speaking to the system. It is speaking to intentional conduct on all grounds. Every third party that is driving past is doing so with knowledge of the fact that they are monitoring and that I am being monitored, that they are engaging in that criminal system. Every third party that is engaging in relevant positioning, because that's what it is, whether it's on the 60 freeway, whether it's walking past this room, whether it's sitting in the parking lot, driving in and out of the parking lot, whether it is driving past on Euclid Avenue, whether it is remaining in relevant position at a property next to and or around. They are engaged in monitoring and they know this, okay? And this is the intentional criminal conduct of Amazon Prime, and it shall be attributed as such. This is documentation because this is how third parties conduct themselves. This is how the entity conducts itself, okay? That understand that this is that demonic aspect of it, engaging in that conduct, which it listens to me document about it, and engaging in what is a communication of a threat while it is hostile to the fact that it has been documented, that it's been identified. And Amazon Prime is acting pursuant to that, and irrespective of anything that will be claimed to some other for some other reason, stating that something other than engagement in the criminal elements which remain present. It is crossing path. It is light activity. They are moving under the state's lit environment. They are creating audible activity. The state is amplifying their activity via traffic, and they are in relevant position. All right, they're crossing path. That is P.O.C. regardless that Amazon Prime is engaged in and doing so multiple times, while I happen to be reciting the fact that they're engaged in it. And what I'm speaking to is the absence of coincidence. That's how third parties conduct themselves. This is the entity as I'm revealing it. The entity is the personification of the government that's monitoring, and understand this is a demonic activity made manifest. It's satanic in and of itself. All right. That's P.O.C. And so what you're also going to see is the third party who is in 228, which is the logical explanation for the noise that's coming through the opposite side of that wall, denies making the noises. All right. Denies hitting the wall. All that a third party says and does is audible activity. All right. This is while she is standing in front of and creating light activity under what is supposed to be the shade, under what is the state's fake sun. She's monitoring, and that is irreducibly the case. It is 3:09 p.m., and I did recite those license plates in that video. And the license plates of third parties, again, not representing all of them. The entity is aware of the fact that I'm documenting, especially via license plates. So you have third parties that are present, engaging in the elements, maintaining the elements, and not providing any means of being documented for purposes of reciting their license plate. Understand that, okay? And this is in no way avoiding any sort of the entity has been identified. This is the people of the state of California. This is attributed to the group. All right, so there is in no way any avoidance of being prosecuted for that ongoing criminal conduct. I want to be clear on that, but you're talking about malicious criminals who are monitoring and by necessity are aware of what you're documenting about their criminal conduct, and their license plates in the parking lot, especially those that they know that I've already recited. This is not reflecting all the third parties that are engaging in. This is not limited, in other words, to those that I'm reading. I just want to be clear on that. And also based on the fact that you're talking about relevant positioning, they're systematically monitoring on the 60 freeway. They're systematically monitoring on Euclid Avenue. They're systematically monitoring in the properties that surround Euclid Avenue at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. It's 3:10 p.m. and that is P.O.C. License plate 7RDS188. I took a picture of that third party. He's carrying a laundry basket with a long ponytail. He's underneath me on the first floor while the state is creating that audible activity and aiming that light. He's monitoring. He's patrolling in the parking lot right now, walking to the car, opening and closing the door, walking away from the car, walking back to the car, getting in the car. This is P.O.C. The lit environment is speaking to that. And I want to show the third party that's sitting in the chair under all that impossible light activity on the wall while she's sitting in the shade, and the state is flying over and amplifying that, and directed light is inside of the room as well, both on the east wall and behind the door. You have and on the ceiling, you have, that is the same third party, I want to be clear, that I documented monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, okay? I documented the state flying over, amplifying that audible activity, and she is engaging in criminal facilitation. She's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, acting with the Ontario Police Department, all right? I want to be clear on that. That's who was in that video. It's 5:10 p.m. Okay, I just captured video of the state that is flying over the room. And so understand what is amplification of audible activity. This is what I mean. This is what third parties do intentionally. This is demonic conduct, hitting, just engaging in all manner of demented conduct, hitting the walls, hitting the floors. Even the state literally just creating the sound of hitting surfaces and applying a microphone to it, making it exceptionally loud. This is why you see the distance that the plane is at from my location, but yet how do I know that it is flying over? It is not that which occurred a long time afterwards. I'm immediately grabbing my phone and catching it on video, because while it is at that distance, the state is in my room where I am located, amplifying the sound of that plane. That is impossible to be at that volume. You do not hear the plane as I am opening up the door. This is the common sense aspect of what they are doing. It is speaking to stalking. It is speaking to monitoring, amplifying audible activity, and doing it with simultaneity to my activity on a communication device. As I spoke in the video, what I'm doing at that moment that the state creates that audible activity is moving a folder in my Google Drive. And so I'm engaged in activity on a communication device on the venue of the internet, which the government is monitoring, third parties who I also capture, sitting in the state's directed light. Okay, this is quintessential criminal conduct for monitoring and group stalking. While I am capturing that, that's what I'm doing while the state is creating that activity, while the state is stalking. Okay, so you're not, first of all, you're not going to hear loud plane activity. First of all, when you're flying, and you are already at that distance, I would have heard it while it was flying over the building. First of all. Okay, because the state does engage in flying at low elevation directly over my head. I've caught that in a plethora of videos as well. And even when the state is doing that, it is still amplifying everything. The state is amplifying all activity. Everything that's happening around is on a microphone, all right, including everything I do, everything that I am doing inside of a private space while you can't see me. The state is aiming light inside of cracks in the buildings, inside of the peephole, through crevices, anywhere that it can, like the stalker that it is. That's a psychopath. That's an obsessed stalker. This is the government that's doing that, engaging in that conduct with the third parties who are sitting in the state's directed light. I captured this third party group stalker of 224, previously documented group stalking with the Ontario Police Department. And she is sitting on the black chair, and you see what is the shadow of the staircase appearing in, you're on the second floor, you're under the shade, and what I'm showing is the appearance of the state's directed light creating the staircase all over the wall that she's sitting in front of. Understand, you're looking at demonic activity. That is entirely peculiarized, weird conduct. That's the lamest way to describe demonic activity. Very demented, very twisted, and very, very outlandish. And when I'm stripping down and you know what you're looking at, but anyone can look at that and see that's absolutely impossible light activity. The state's fake sun is directly over the roof of the building. The second floor is under a shaded structure, okay, and you have what is supposed to be appearing as shade, but yet you've got light, and necessarily so because the staircase, which is not going to create a shadow on that wall either, okay? There is no trajectory of sunlight that is going to create the staircase on that wall. In every which way, this is impossible light activity. The state is amplifying plane activity while it is also captured in video, engaged in ongoing stalking, always being where I'm at. In addition to the impossible light activity that I capture in the video as well, inside of the room. You've got the staircase, the shadow of the staircase appearing on the ceiling, on the east wall. The staircase appearing on the east wall outside of the room as well, while you're in the shade, in the depths of the room. There is no vantage point of any sort of sunlight that's going to create the staircase shadow on the ceiling or on the east wall inside of the depths of the room. What sort of trajectory of light is that? While you are also in the shade, under a shaded structure, and sunlight, light is necessarily being directed onto those objects in order to create that creation of light activity inside of the room as I open the door. All right. That is the incrimination of the people of the state of California that are monitoring with the government. Every single last one of them in economy N is a facilitator. And understand everything that I'm documenting about Spectrum, about economy N, the use of the television for monitoring and for implying an impermissible threat. They are continuously monitoring and then engaging and going further and continuing that conduct that they document. And again, a group stalker is not reasonably expected to stop the criminal conduct. this is what I'm showing. It's an obsessed psychopath level, demonically impressed stalker acting as a group amongst the people. But that is going toward the prosecution. A psychopath, obsessed stalker acting via an entity is not going to stop that conduct. That is an ongoing threat to your life, to the physical safety, to your overall well-being, while it is maliciously trying to depict that targeted individual as the one suffering from a mental incapacity. Everything about the pattern of conduct is demonstrating psychopaths surround. Okay, that is an ongoing threat to your physical safety and your life and your overall well-being. All right, everything about what the state is engaged in, directly and vicariously, is speaking to that which is highly abnormal and is a direct threat to your very well-being. All right, this is the ability to capture it and the ability to create federal policy in order to prosecute it. It is currently 5:16 p.m. and that is what I captured in video. You are looking at on my website as well all of the videos that I have collected while I've been at this property where the state's fake sun remains. This is the cumulative value of documentation. The state's fake sun remaining here. Impossible to be at all the other places where I am, and the state's fake sun is directly over my head at that location, setting, quote unquote, setting its sun at that location where I remain. This has been documented in video since 2019. Okay. And because I knew that it was so fantastic, so spectacular, you would not believe it but for seeing it with your own very eyes. And so this is the value of that documentation. This is what the state is doing while they have idiotic yet audacity. That's the audacity to continue to engage in that criminal conduct, which is serving to have these third parties. It is a matter of justice. Understand, they ought to be promptly deported out of this country. You have no right to remain here. You are facilitating this criminal conduct, which is a threat to my life. Everything that you are facilitating, that you are actually participating in, and you are helping the government, and knowingly so, on a ceaseless basis, which is necessarily the case. This is how the people of the state monitor. Understand, Amazon Prime directly engaged in that P.O.C, chiming in by crossing path while it is aware of the fact that I'm outside of the room in order to see that logo, that brand. It is in no way suggesting that Amazon Prime is always where I'm at. Amazon Prime is always where I'm at by virtue of the fact that it is a part of the people of the group, the people of the state of California, who are always where I am at, group stalking in that regard. But the brand, the truck, Amazon Prime being everywhere is a matter of stalking. Group stalking vicariously on behalf of the state. Also engaging in criminally threatening and harassing a target individual who knows that they're being monitored and is documenting it. And that psychopath acting via Amazon Prime, a company, okay, this is the guise under which the people of the state are monitoring. All right, acting pursuant to the same criminal elements under that same demonic, twisted impression, increasing that conduct, continuing that conduct while they are aware of the fact that you have identified them, that you've documented them, and continuing. So that's relevant for the threatening aspect, the harassment aspect, while they're ceaselessly monitoring. And under these circumstances that are direct evidence of what is monitoring, these hallmarks are direct evidence for the crime of monitoring with communication devices. This is not circumstantial evidence where you have that sort of light activity. That's direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring. Where you have the state engaging in this stalking conduct, that is direct evidence. That is not circumstantial. That's direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring by a government in concert with the people of the state, because that's what federal group stalking and monitoring is. The government is monitoring you and doing so with the people of the state. All right. The people of the state take form acting as individuals, like you see the psychopath sitting in the state's sitting in the state's directed light, and doing so while the state is amplifying audible activity. That's a psychopath. And that is a sex offender, the same one whose mug I got on my webpage so you can see her face, who was monitoring me via harassment, as I captured on April 10th, while she is monitoring. Okay, monitoring again, documented monitoring with the Ontario Police, monitoring sitting in that demonic feature, that hallmark, which is the state's directed light. Okay, that's P.O.C. It is 5:20 p.m. and that's what I captured in video. And I took pictures also of the directed light inside of the room as I opened the door, all of which is absolutely impossible to be occurring. Direct evidence against the people of the state who are one group. Understand the hundreds, if not thousands, of license plates that I have documented are engaged in this ongoing crime, all right? And which is a exceedingly violent sexual offense, worthy of deportation if you, amongst other things, if you are not a natural-born American citizen. You have no right to remain in this country, and you shall be promptly returned upon federal prosecution. That's a matter of justice, and this is that which is serving to substantiate that policy, which is absolutely necessary, amongst other federal repercussions where you are engaged in group stalking and monitoring American citizens. That is the P.O.C. All right, I did just capture video of the state flying over the room. Again, it's already at a distance. It's in alignment to my room, and the state's fake sun and its directed light is still in the parking lot on the grounds in the center. I'm catching 224. She's patrolling. I took a picture of that. She's crossing path as I'm using my camera, which the state is engaging in monitoring. That is freezing or stopping the ability to record the video while I was capturing the video. I captured pictures of the third parties group stalking in their car. They're just sitting in the parking lot while the state is flying over. The state's directed light is in the parking lot, in the middle of the parking lot where the state's fake sun is. Understand that is, again, the state aiming light, which is it's supposed to be presumed to be coming from the sun, which has remained over this parking lot all day long. 224 and 222 patrolling back and forth, which you'll see them walking back from 224 to 222. That's called patrolling. Loitering in relevant position, 7 MSA 495. I took a picture of them sitting in their car. I walked out the room to take video of the state that was flying over the room, which was amplified audible activity. And you're noting this by the presence of the plane that is at a distance, which is not going to be amplified in volume at that distance. This is P.O.C. Pursuant to that, I'm just explaining it, breaking it down, and what you're looking at as what I captured in pictures. And this is documentation of what is the state engaging in criminal obstruction of justice. This is characteristic of the entity that's monitoring, seeking to obstruct the ability to document it. And so that's the video that was obstructed while I'm taking pictures instead of patrolling third-party group stalkers of 224 and 222 and the state's directed light on in the center of the parking lot. Third-party group stalkers, 2 African-American females sitting in the car, 7 MSA 495. They're group stalking, and they are engaging in ongoing stalking with activity. Another group stalker, the white male that I've already documented, the old white male, patrolling, walking past on the stairs. I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of what is the state's directed light and the state's fake sun. All right, I did just step out, and like I was explaining, I went on ahead and paused the podcast because I wanted to get video of the fake sun, which the state is engaging in, moving it from my ability to capture it, as it is clearly captured in my videos, while they were engaging in blatant group stalking conduct on video, specifically the heavyset African-American female who who was monitoring with minor children, for example, the Latina female with the little dog in the blue Cooper vehicle. They're the same third-party group stalker from 222. They're patrolling in the parking lot. The state has filled that ground of the parking lot with impossible light activity. It's lighting up the middle of the parking lot, and the state's fake sun is seen squarely from my room on the second floor. As I step outside, the state is deviating from it, moving it back such that I can't see it from where I am, as it's monitoring my documentation and knows that I am documenting, and also aware of the fact that it is an ongoing revelation of stalking with a light source, as the state's fake sun has both been captured over this venue, the inconsistent light activity that you're seeing when you are looking at it from video to video to video, and you're seeing what the state is doing with light, which is speaking to what third parties are engaged in. I just want to be clear, what I captured in video right now at around 6:54 p.m. is in direct conflict with what I've already documented at this same time at this particular venue. But I just want to be clear, the state's fake sun captured both hovering over this parking lot from Euclid Avenue, as though the sun is setting at Euclid Avenue and rising over the pool at Economy Inn. And then also, at the same time, around the evening, what have I captured? The state's fake sun squarely aimed into the grocery outlet window, the top of the store windows, aiming light onto me while impossible light activity is surrounding as third-party group stalkers are patrolling inside of that venue as well. That is moving that light source, what would be north up Euclid Avenue, in order to be at that location inside of the windows of that store. Understand, all of this is connected, ongoing criminal criminal conduct, and you are seeing what the state is doing with light. And it's doing this because it's monitoring, and it is stalking in concert with the people of the state. They're monitoring with communication devices, and light is key to that. You are seeing the nuances where you are paying attention to the details, and because the devil is indeed in the details, all right? And this is satanic, and it's also criminal, highly criminal. And the state's fake sun is in an entirely different position behind the roof, over the roof where I can't see it, so that I just walked a couple feet on the second floor and you see it, it's still right there. The sun, the actual sun, is never present over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, let alone Woodside Senior Apartments, let alone Starbucks, let alone Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt, let alone B&G Plaza, let alone Mercy House off of Bonneview, let alone the Dollar General at the corner of Holt and Bonneview. This is the state stalking with its light source, being present directly over me where I am going, which is in direct conflict with, as I documented, it stays where I am at and then engages in this abysmal failure and seeking to act like it's staying over the address, staying over the property, but just moving westward over the property, which is not the behavior of the sun. Okay, the sun is setting over. There is a whole other aspect of the world besides Ontario, California, and 2301 South Euclid Avenue, where Erica Lorraine Spencer is at, and I'm documenting what is monitoring by a government. And where the government is monitoring, you are the center of the universe. This is why the moon is over me everywhere I'm at. This is why the sun is over me everywhere I'm at. Not because that is actually the moon or that is actually the sun. I'm showing what are instruments in that criminal system. And psychopaths, like those group stalkers, those African-American females, they are listening to me not only while I'm in the room, they know that I'm documenting them, and third-party role, this is that of a psychopath. They just sit there and act like they're doing something else. Everything about the environment is speaking to what they are doing. All right. And this is how you are prosecuting that which is a malicious system and that which are psychopaths acting with that entity, engaging in what is demonic group conduct, serving a criminal purpose of monitoring with communication devices. Those are psychopaths. That's absolutely entirely demented and abnormal to engage in targeting, and then you're outwardly trying to act like you're doing something else. Understand the mindset of people that are engaging in that sort of conduct, and they're engaging in it is in no way suggesting that they're not monitoring. That has already been established. You are looking at what is the mental implications of the group that is engaged in this. And I've shown you what the context is. It's satanic, all right? What does satanic conduct look like? It's very twisted. It's very dark. It's very weird, all right? And that's just to put it in layman's terms. It's entirely that which is of a psychopath, all right? You're talking about paranoia. You're talking about obsession. You're talking about the inability to stop what you even know what is wrong, which you know is weird, which you know is unacceptable. This is why it takes on necessarily the guise of what is supposed to be ordinarily everyday life, all right? But for under the facts of a government monitoring you, nothing that is occurring in relevant position to you is ordinary life, and it is the criminalization of all of that conduct, all of that presence, every single last ounce of it. And I want to also piggyback off of this video that I captured, and again, it was obstructed by the state as it's flying over the room. And so the video that I caught of the video that I'm capturing, and I'm getting another plane that is flying in alignment to me as I'm capturing the state's fake sun, and the directed light and the shadows on both of my sides as I'm standing at 222. That's some very intense light, okay? And that is also very targeted in its location. You were talking about even in that abysmal failure to move the state's fake sun such that I can't turn my camera up directly above me and capture it. And in the evening, when the state is engaging in quote unquote setting this fake sun right there over Euclid Avenue, as I've clearly captured in group stalkers, in all of the brightness of this directed light in the parking lot, directly incriminating themselves and every other documented third party, the people of the state. This is that which is also not occurring. This is just common sense. What follows, if this is remaining, it is still remaining because you are moving to the opposite side of the roof where I can't see it. You're still remaining. This is a light source. It's supposed to be the sun that is still remaining over the building. It is still aiming light in the same direction. This is exactly what I was pointing out at the site of the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library. The state's light source wasn't going anywhere. And even when it engages in feigning as though it is setting like a real sun, like the real sun, it is aiming light in the exact same location. Okay, this is the exact same location where its light source was physically present. It engages in this negligible migration, which is supposed to be the sun moving over the senior center, over the senior housing partner, that housing community for senior centers, over the Ontario Town Square, and it's not. Understand, you're talking about an illusion of what you're looking at. That is a low-hanging, hovering light source, and the state merely changes the color, and the state merely engages in engaging in what is chicanery with the way that it looks like at that distance. It's not going anywhere, and the light is aimed at the same location. That is also not what the sun is going to be doing. The sun is not focused on remaining over the address of 2301 South Euclid Avenue and keeping its light over 2301 Euclid Avenue. If the sun was actually present at 7 o'clock in the morning over the property, it is not going to be visibly seen physically over the same property at the end of the day. All right. This is ongoing constant movement of the sun. In addition to that, you're talking about the absolute impossibility that it is remaining at all hours, because I've captured the state's fake sun over the Ontario Health Center at 150 East Holt Boulevard, both in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening when I'm capturing the state following me up and down Holt Boulevard. This is a substantial movement south down Euclid Avenue, which is perpendicular to Holt Boulevard, and you're talking about the state remaining what is at Euclid and Holt, whereas the state's fake sun is over Mercy House, which is far from Euclid Avenue. I'm just giving you an example. All you got to do is look at a map, and in addition to looking at a map, all you have to do is Google the actual not address, but the actual location of where the true sun is located throughout any time of the day. In addition to that, all you have to do is look at my actual documentation, because you are looking at what is impossible migration of a light source hovering directly over me and remaining for the duration of an entire day, which is a pattern, all right, which is impossible. All of the documentation together is analyzed, and it is impossible to coexist. Not even that which is isolated to economy N is impossible to coexist with each other. The state engages in ongoing deviation as it listens to me scrutinize its idiocy with its fake sun, as it is monitoring my documentation as I'm posting all the videos on my website. And all you have to do is look at the videos, look at what the light activity is doing, look at the second floor, look at how the state is aiming light onto the staircase, onto the walls, onto where the state's fake sun is positioned at that time of day. All you have to do is compare it. And then that's just the micro level. On a macro level, everywhere that I've documented this same conduct, including when I go to Los Angeles County, you've got what is supposed to be the sun still directly over where I am at. While, mind you, the state is stalking by planes and helicopters. While, mind you, third parties, the people of the state of California, are not engaged in separate and random everyday life. They're engaging in a behavioral pattern that complements this light activity and the ongoing presence of the state that is stalking by planes and helicopters. They are maintaining this presence as a group, and they are engaging in a behavioral pattern that keeps one surrounded with audible activity and light activity. All right. That is the link of all of that. And that is actually not rocket science whatsoever. It's the ability to recognize patterns amongst different faces. It's not hidden when you recognize what you are looking at, which are elements, which control. All right. Those are psychopaths that I documented in video sitting in that car. That's a psychopath, and he's engaged in criminal defamation, documented engaged in kidnapping, criminal summoning, which is criminal facilitation, acting with Ontario police who are rampant engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. They're kidnappers, they're sex offenders, they're stalkers, they are psychopaths wearing police uniforms. They have an issue with being everywhere that I'm at, and they are stalking and monitoring with these third parties that I'm catching all their images and all their faces, and they're also being documented on the surveillance cameras at this venue. And so this is what I captured on video. The state's fake sun remaining present. It's still here over the roof of Economy N, and it is aiming light onto the 222. And you're seeing my shadows on both sides of me. All right. That is not sunlight. That's the state's artificially engineered light. Very powerful light. And this is also while it is in direct conflict with videos that I've already captured, that I've already published at around the same time in the state's. Also, while I am speaking in real time in this video, the state's directed light in the parking lot is rapidly disappearing. All right. You're also looking at the entryway of the drive-through of Economy N light, which is supposed to be reflecting off of those windows where that third-party group stalking psychopath on a bike is patrolling. He's creating light activity by moving around in that light. He's engaging in relevant positioning. He's in alignment to me from that location, and he is engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. The state's directed light is right there incriminating him. You have what is impossible light activity that's supposed to be bouncing off of that window, so powerful that it's reflecting onto the asphalt. No, that's not sunlight, and that is not the sun, and this is already demonstrated. This is the ongoing revelation of what is demonic. It is demonic. These are twisted individuals acting corporately. So to that end, I want to go back at 6:39 p.m. Understand, while I'm in the room and while I am on my phone, I am uploading the videos about the criminal conduct at Economy N, which is the government monitoring me at Economy N. And everything that I'm doing, as I swipe to a different page, as I long press on the screen to copy and paste, as I paste what I've copied, as I press the back button to go back to a previous screen or go forward or seek to open up another application, as I am engaging in other words, activity on my communication device, every move that I'm making is being punctuated by these same psychopaths that you're seeing. That is literally demonic conduct, what I am taking pictures of. 224, she's walking past, then 224 is walking past again, then 224 is walking past again, and she's doing it as I am going from applications, because the state interrupted my ability to capture video, all right? And so as I as the video actually just stops, all right, I go to what is my podcast to record audio. As I do that, she walks past. As I go from the audio podcast to the camera, she walks past again. I'm engaging in activity on my communication device. This is demonic activity. This is the demonic pacing back and forth. All right. You're looking at demonic activity in the natural. This is a freak. All right. She is a freak. She is a psychopath. And she is also a liar and a stalker. The same one whose face I captured and put it on my website so you can see what she looks like. She is engaged in entirely threatening criminal conduct, harassing, engaging in criminal facilitation of monitoring. And understand, she is acting as a group, but I am able to individualize her for purposes of her prosecution. And she is engaging in that demonic pacing back and forth as I'm going from applications. As the state freezes my ability to take video, I go to the podcast. She walks past. I go from the podcast in order to take a picture because I'm trying to get the fact that she's walking back and forth like the weirdo freak that she is in the state's impossible light. And she walks past again, and she continues it. And then 220, then she goes in her room, and they're doing the same thing. You're talking about the same conduct, a different face. 222 comes out of her room instead and crosses path by going to 224. They close the door. That's audible activity. The state is amplifying everything that you're hearing. That is serving activity creation. And they are crossing path, relevant positioning, patrolling back and forth. This is a psychopath operating over a group. This is demonic conduct, okay? And this is what I took pictures of. And this is when I go in, I capture the video as I narrate in real time. I'm going to go ahead and get the state's fake sun. They're over here patrolling in the state's directed light. The directed light is in the middle of the parking lot, and it's rapidly disappearing as I'm describing the environment. And the fact that the state engaged in obstructing my ability to take video is also direct evidence of the fact that it is monitoring, which is my allegation, which I have already established. I am naming as many third parties, the people of the state, as I possibly can. Amazon Prime directly engaged in that P.O.C. as well. You are monitoring while you are driving past in relevant position on the 60 freeway. You are monitoring as the state is amplifying what is supposed to be the sound of cars. Understand, irrespective of the fact, because you're talking about an entity that literally has the ability and has engaged in literally just creating the noise. Okay, City of Ontario dumpster trucks, not actually emptying the dumpster yet while the state is creating the sound of crashing dumpsters in my room. In my video, you see it drive forward, and then it actually engages in the act, which is activity creation that the state amplified, while it is emptying the trash. Okay, so you're talking about the state using third-party presence as a guise for the creation of activity. That's concerted conduct. The state is amplifying the sound of these third-party group stalkers who are patrolling on the 60 freeway and Euclid Avenue, and the state is also artificially engineering the sound of traffic using their cars because of the fact third parties maintain presence in relevant position. The entity operates under the guise of anything for purposes of creating audible activity. But it also strays, as I am very good at documenting every detail, and the state engages in literally just creating any kind of noise. And all you have to do is dissect the details. But even when you're talking about the ordinary target individual who may not be so, might not have such proclivity to details, to understand what is going on. This is the establishment of law for that targeted individual who is suspecting the fact that they're being monitored Okay, they're being stalked by strangers. That's how an ordinary target individual would describe it. People that I don't know are following me, and my phone, my stuff is acting weird. I feel like people are listening to me. That's how the ordinary person would describe it. That's federal group stalking and monitoring. And all you have to do is document it. And you are not stuck with the labor. It's laborious, and it is unrealistic, and it is unlawful to require an ordinary person to try to dissect through the facts and common sense. Oh, well, that's actually not the state. That's probably trying to decipher what is actually the cause of whatever noise is being amplified inside of your room. I have laid out the instruments that the state uses. Okay. And now whether for example, Facebook is actually engaging in removing the embeds function from its website when I'm online trying to paste my videos that I posted on that platform to my website, or the state that is present in relevant position to me is monitoring on the internet, on my phone, and removing that ability as I'm on the phone, regardless of who is actually engaging in that specific act. Actually, that's a matter of prosecution in the court. All right. All you're doing is documenting the fact that it occurred. The embed function is ordinarily available. It is a means of obstructing the ability to document what is already extraordinary. So you're talking about circumstances that are not coincidental. They're not happening for no reason. When you happen to be aware of the fact in documenting a government that is monitoring you, they are going to engage in tactics whereby they are trying to stop your ability to document, which is a direct threat to your life and physical safety and overall well-being. All right. You document it. You are not stuck with that labor of trying to find out, well, or even seeking to provide an explanation. Well, it's Facebook or well, it's Spectrum that's interrupting, or no, actually it's economy. And I am providing these are the ways that the entity acts. The entity, the people of the state, are in the shoes of the government. This is the government sitting in their cars like the psychopath, sex offending group stalkers that they are under demonic influence. All right. That's the government. Let's be clear. You don't have any individual rights to engage in relevant positioning, activity creation, and acting in concert, creating light activity where the government is monitoring. You don't have that right under the Constitution. Right? It is a criminalization of what would otherwise be ordinary life, but under that fact pattern, where the government is monitoring, it's a different reality, and you are able to document everything that is occurring around you because it is serving to threaten your life and your physical safety. It's accomplishing monitoring, all right? And that's the significance of everything that I've documented, and this is also speaking to what the ordinary target individual will not be stuck with trying to decipher and having no right. So it's designed to depict the target individual as suffering from some mental capacity because they can't explain how what's happening around them is happening. Right. And you've always got some third party or state actor engaging in P.O.C, trying to contradict, trying to dismiss your claims and falsely depict you as suffering from some mental capacity, like you're paranoid. You are you're tripping. These are the ways that third parties act. This is P.O.C. Both on the venue of the internet, speaking on behalf of the government, engaging in the P.O.C, you'll be prosecuted for that. It's called criminal defamation. And in relevant position, where not only you are monitoring me, you're engaging in criminal defamation as your means of audible activity while you're doing so. And you are likely creating light activity because the state is always directing light. So you're monitoring, all right? P.O.C. Period. That's the prosecution of it. And so I want to be clear. You have the pictures that I captured of 222. Taking turns. 224 goes in her room and then 222 and does the same. Understand that's not a break in the conduct. It's the same conduct, different face. That's a system. Sitting in alignment, loitering in relevant position as opposed to what is crossing path repeatedly, which is patrolling. The white male that I catch in video, documented. Already engaging in a rampant P.O.C, crosses path as he walks down the stairs. He's remaining in relevant position. You're thinking about group stalking in terms of what is the path. That's what Amazon Prime is doing while they're driving on the 60 freeway, and intentionally so. All right. They are engaging in P.O.C. They're engaging in criminally threatening and harassment while they are aware of the fact that they are being documented, that they have been identified. And this is that which is occurring where the government is monitoring you. Yes, third parties maintain ongoing knowledge. This is a satanic system. All right. Now that may surpass the fathomable level of comprehension for the ordinary individual. You don't have to worry about that. Understand, though, for where the government is monitoring, third parties are maintaining real-time knowledge of what you're doing as you're doing it, including on the freeway in relevant position as they're crossing path, representing that threat. That's what Amazon is engaged in. They're monitoring with every other third party whose face I'm capturing, whose license plate I'm reciting, all right, whose images I am taking pictures of, whose actions I am describing on my podcast. That's what Amazon Prime is engaged in, again, which I captured as well. And that also is the absence of coincidence. All right. It is 7:17 p.m. And so I did step out because that was the plane that flew over. 224, 222 began patrolling. The group stalkers they're psychopaths, they're weirdos, sitting in the car. The state's fake sun remaining over the venue. Okay, be clear. In a different position from where I've already captured it at around the same time, while it's aiming its directed light and impossible light activity on the parking lot. It's aiming its light on the same place, all right? It's just engaging in trying to keep me from being able to look up from the second floor where my room is and capture the state's fake sun. And that's no deviation, me moving to the opposite side so I can let you know that it is still there and that is not the sun, and that is also impossible to remain over the same address all day long. That's not the sun. In comparison with everything else that I've already documented, there's a whole mountain of evidence, all right? And so with regard to that, I'm speaking to what is criminal obstruction. That video was obstructed. That's monitoring conduct. That is also directly incriminating to the people of the state of California and to this venue, as it is comprehensively documented and ready. They're ready. So with regard to also, I'm speaking about what was the ordinary target individual, and they are not stuck with the labor of trying to decipher what third parties are doing. And so as I step out and I caught this video, like I was saying, all right, I'm explaining it because I want to be clear that I'm thorough as I'm going step by step as to what I'm capturing and the significance of it. And because it is consistent, and I am able to consistently go through that bit by bit every single time I'm catching what is an episode, because the P.O.C. doesn't stop. They're still monitoring while I'm capturing video. They're monitoring while I'm in the room. They're monitoring as I step out to capture what is a snippet of ongoing criminal conduct. The P.O.C. does not stop. The pattern of conduct does not stop. This is capturing, again, I go to use the restroom. This is before I step out to get the video, which was obstructed, and I go ahead and I take pictures and I take additional video of what is, again, a second plane flying over the same venue. I want to be clear. And I'm describing all of that. That's the significance of that. I want to speak to what was occurring before and what is ongoing. I'm speaking to the ongoing chorus of audible activity. The state is literally, think of it like a box that this entity is holding in its hand, and think of like a hammer. And the state's just holding the box, and the box being this hotel room, for example, holding the hotel room, which is a box. I'm giving you an example. The entity is a giant, all right? The entity is the government holding the box in its hand. In its other hand, it's got a hammer, and it's just hammering away on the top of the box, on the side of the box, underneath the box, on all sides of the box, as I am inside of the box making any sort of movements. All right, that's a picture of what the government is doing, surrounding this room with ongoing noise, and that it is both artificially creating, all right, and that which third parties are creating, and the state is providing a microphone to it. And that which the state artificially creates, it is amplified. It's necessarily also providing a microphone to it. But I want to be clear, this is what the government is doing while I'm in the room. As I long press on the screen, as I swipe to a different application, as I paste something, as I'm uploading information, this is what the state is doing. Think of like a giant holding the box being the room that I happen to be staying at economy in, and just hitting the box in all manner, in all directions, from the bottom, from the top, both sides with a hammer, and doing it pursuant to my rhythm of what I'm doing. As I long swipe the screen, the hammer hits the box. As I get up to gesture movement, put the phone down, the giant hits the box with the hammer. As I go to the bathroom, the giant hits the box. Understand, the hammer hitting the box is the engagement in the element of audible activity, okay? Now, audible activity can apply and does occur in different methods. What happens at 6:39 when I go to the restroom? And now understand, the state that's engaged in corporate evasion of privacy knows that I'm sitting on my bed using my phone, all right? Listens to me place the phone down on the dresser. Listens to me go into the bathroom and disrobe to use the restroom, all right? Knows exactly what I'm doing. This is why they are stalking with activity. That's the behavioral pattern. that characterizes all audible activity creation. In whatever method that it takes. And this is while I am disrobed using the restroom, the state begins creating audible activity, which is music that is suddenly heard while I'm using the restroom. While I'm in that toilet room using the restroom, music begins to play. I want to be clear, that is audible activity. And this is accomplishing, monitoring me, and in concert with the state. And I want to also be clear, this is that which is serving that demonic, malicious purpose. Not only do you know that I don't have a communication device in my hand, you know everything that I'm doing in the room. You are a stalker using the television, using the water pressure, using literally making noises in the walls, using psychopaths that are walking back and forth like minion trolls, all right? Hitting objects, which the state applies. You know everything that I'm doing, using the swamp cooler as a means to surround with activity pursuant to the rhythm of everything that I'm doing, both physically and on a communication device, on the internet, on my phones. Okay, so you know what I'm doing while you are creating that activity. Understand the relevance of that. That is an intent to create a manner of torment, to inflict harm to one who knows what you're doing. I'm documenting it, so I am aware of the fact that you're monitoring me. And you engage in the criminal conduct while I'm in that state, and you know very well I don't have a phone. You're not monitoring anything. You are engaging in the creation of activity as I have identified it, engaging in that P.O.C. while I am in that state, while you are aware of the legal analysis that I have assigned to it for purposes of seeking to inflict that violation that I have assigned to it under law, all right? To inflict harm, all right? That's pure evil, okay? You want to be clear on that. And so this is not only monitoring conduct, it is monitoring conduct, but understand they're engaged in corporate invasion of privacy by entities. So this is the government holding the box in its hand, hitting the box with a hammer as I am disrobed using the bathroom, and that hammer is being used as a means of the music begins to play. Music starts playing while I am disrobed using the bathroom, and that is a means of audible activity. Group stalkers remain in relevant position, and the state is engaged in ongoing ceaseless stalking directly. All right, the people of the state are stalking vicariously, as I'm continuously documenting, under the state's light source, which I have also already established and continue to document. This is P.O.C, and it is also, understand, that is speaking to the criminal and despicable intent of the entity. All right, don't have a phone on me. I'm certainly not pulling a phone out of the cavities of my out of some body cavity. All right, I am fully disrobed. This is why I'm speaking to what is the perverted, predatory nature of the pattern of conduct. All right, and this is that which is designed, also intended. All right, when you're engaging in that, you understand the mindset. They know what you're doing. They know what you're doing as you're doing it. And they also know what you're doing while you're in any indisposed state. And so you're engaging in that P.O.C. for what purpose? Monitoring with communication devices is not going to be accomplished while you're physically indisposed in the shower, for example, while you're physically indisposed on the toilet, for example. This is serving another aspect of the criminal system, all right? They are perverts and sex offenders. This is attributed to the group, the people of the state of California, that is acting in concert with the government. And they do this. This is an expression of hostility while they are monitoring my documentation that I am publishing on the website as I speak, and this is supposed to be intended to inflict harm. All right, when you are aware of the fact that you're being monitored, again, as I move my legs right now, a boom heard through the wall. That's the government holding the box in the hand, hitting it with a hammer, with simultaneity to my activity, which my new activity was moving position on the bed. All right, that's the government hitting the box with a hammer. All right, pursuant to my rhythm. It's 7:26 p.m. So like I said, in that indisposed state, that's the sexually violent aspect. And understand, this venue is a private space. They're doing this at the Ontario Health Center. They're doing this at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. I subject to this inside of the private residence of number 51 at Woodside Senior Apartments. Every single last one of them, including the government directly listening to you, monitoring, creating activity while you're inside of that space, engaged in that personal activity. And this is that which the state is doing at Mercy House. They're monitoring absolute strangers, not only stalking you, absolute strangers listening to you in that moment, in that activity, in that private space. That is demented, perverted, predatory, sexually violent group conduct. That is an exceptional level of violence and violation. Okay, this is what the state is engaged in, and that was at 6:39. I want to be clear on that. So this is ongoing before I step outside to get this video. because I am dovetailing it all together. It is all together, but I'm speaking, when I say that spectrum is engaged in the P.O.C. and they're intentionally blocking the ability, and that is relevant to not only monitoring, because you're ceaselessly monitoring using that TV when it's on, and then you engage in harassment and threatening conduct, which is reasonably construed through your conduct, while the state is present stalking, the state is present monitoring, and this is all directly tied to that. And so I'm just punctuating a point that I have already made. Okay, and this is directly prosecuting every third party acting with that entity. They are sex offenders. They're acting in that criminal system together. Amazon Prime is included. Understand that they don't have to be physically in the room to engage in the P.O.C. They're in relevant position. You are not isolated to the P.O.C. that just occurred when I step out the room. You are engaged in that criminal system, which is an ongoing criminal act. It doesn't stop. All right, it's continuous. And so Amazon Prime is engaged in that, and this is how federal law will treat and prosecute the people of the state and that entity that is monitoring, that is operating this monitoring system. And so that's 639 while I am subject to that. And so that is just documentation of what is the ongoing sexual violence. And again, that's just the creation of activity. I'm being monitored even when they don't create noise, because when I'm in the bathroom, you create noise. When you run the shower, you're running water, you're creating audible activity that the state is amplifying. You're being monitored as you just live and be and exist. All right. I'm creating activity while I'm in the on the toilet. When you flush the toilet, you're creating activity, moving around. And not only that, the state is amplifying everything that you're doing. You are naturally creating audible activity. It is an extra step to go through it to the step to create audible activity. This is understand that's communicating a threat, that's communicating an intent to do harm, sexual violence to the target individual who is aware of the fact that they're being monitored by the government, who is maintaining constructive presence inside of that private space, and does so in concert with every other third party that's engaging in the P.O.C. with it and facilitating the ability of that government and third parties. That includes Spectrum, that includes Amazon Prime, that includes Economy in as the business, the owners, the managers. All right. That is how group conduct is prosecuted, and necessarily so. All right. It is currently 7:29 p.m. And this is that which is gathered from the video that I captured and the podcast, the audio documentation that I gathered as I stepped outside. And this is also relevant for what is criminal obstruction of justice, which is also a threat to your life. The government that's monitoring you and stalking you. And doing so in the most threatening manners, using the police, all right, using the ambulance and the fire department. They equally represent a threat to your liberty. I have documented that as the case, all right, and engaging in stalking in such incredible manners, that's a direct threat to your life. And they are engaging in that ongoing concerted conduct together, which is a continuous criminal conduct. And so I want to be clear, I step outside to catch video of the state as it flies over. The state is doing that same exact criminal conduct on a continuous basis. Third-party group stalkers that walk past the room or that happen to drop a pin on the ground around me, and the state applies a microphone to it. And that's what I mean. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. The third parties are able to, and this is why all you have to do is be present. The state creates the environment. And that is why you also criminalize everything that is all you have to do is document them because they represent the government. They are in the venue of the government that's designed to monitor you. They are present on behalf of that government that is maintaining presence all around you. And they are acting pursuant to that behavioral pattern attributed to the government that's monitoring and stalking you. All right. Everything about what they are doing and where they are doing it, which if you see them, they're in relevant position, period. And so this is the state doing the exact same thing, using the plane activity, which I step out to capture in video. But the state does the same thing while it is amplifying what is supposed to be car after car after car after car here, and they're not going anywhere. First of all, you're not hearing that. In reality, you're not hearing the freeway. You're not hearing Euclid Avenue traffic inside of the door of a hotel room. All right, unless your hotel room is right there facing the street. I mean, I guess you could say that. But at this distance, this is implausible. And not only that, you're talking about a pattern of conduct that is already established. The state does not stop using its tools that I have already demonstrated. The state is using those tools to date, okay? And the tool is the main instrument, which is indicative of state action, is amplification of activity. The state is amplifying the sound of traffic. whether you want to accept the notion of amplification or not, period, you're in relevant position. You hear the noise, it's audible, that's monitoring conduct. You're monitoring me, and that's accomplishing that. Whether you want to accept the notion of amplification or not, but it's really not subject to whether you want to accept it. There is the use of impossibly heard a sound that is heard, the distance at the volume, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's equally ridiculous to the state's conduct with light and what is supposed to be a sun. It's equally ridiculous. And those ridiculous examples show what the state is doing at all times with audible activity, all right? Those ridiculous examples with light show what the state is doing at all times with light, all right? It's not an anomaly. This is the pattern of conduct. Where I am showing the state is using those methods. The state, as I capture in video, the state is just using that method that I hear plane activity, and I happen to walk out just to capture that video. The state is doing this on a constant basis. Group stalkers that are engaging in crossing paths and patrolling and walking past the moment that they walk past, they're doing it pursuant to what they are listening to me do and aware of what I'm doing on my communication device. That's the demonic feature, all right? They're monitoring and they're maintaining real-time knowledge. They are the picture of what is the government, the entity, holding the box in the hand and hitting the box with the hammer. You are engaging in the criminal elements as you're crossing path, and you're doing it pursuant to ongoing knowledge with simultaneity, which is the creation of audible activity. The state is amplifying it. It's the creation of visible activity. You're moving around in that in the state's light. You're surrounding the environment with activity, and doing so while you are in relevant position, vicariously representing the state. That's P.O.C. This is what the state is doing on a constant basis. And so I want to be clear. I just happen to step out and I get the state flying over by plane, speaking to the ongoing stalking presence of the state, acting directly via planes, helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance. The state is doing so through the people of the state of California vicariously, both amplifying their audible activity and also artificially creating noises around and in the room while they maintain presence. It is coexisting criminal conduct. Wanted to make sure that I have already established this, but I'm just going to reiterate that. And that's the significance of everything that I continue to document. And so this is what they're doing while I'm in the room. And so I did step out at around maybe 25 minutes ago now, and I caught that video, which the state immediately obstructed. That's monitoring conduct. That's also direct evidence of the same conduct. What is occurring now as I engage in contorting my face, reacting to the ridiculousness of what I'm documenting, which you're monitoring while I'm documenting monitoring, blocking my ability to record video is monitoring. And so I contorted my face. What do you, in the background, it's a boom. All right. Closing the door as I have done as third party group stalker 228 did. Understand you're not creating impact naturally. This is not naturally occurring. This is monitoring. All right. And so this is the prosecution of the people of the state of California. This is the prosecution of every third party as I have individually identified them by license plate, by address, by image, by their voice even, by their location, by whatever business, all the means in which that I have identified them, I have documented them. This is going toward the prosecution of the people of the state. And because the state is already prosecuted and the state is acting with the people of the state of California, I am going the extra distance of documenting individual actors of that of that unified single group. All right. It's group conduct. It's not separate. They're all acting together. And the impossible an unnatural environment that surrounds me is what is speaking to what they are all doing. And this is psychopath level group conduct. Understand? This is that which is entirely demonic. Okay, so you're witnessing what is demonic conduct. This is Satan in operation amongst people in the natural. All right, what they are doing is demonically inspired. That pacing back and forth, that's demonic. All right, that is a weirdo operating in the natural. She is nothing but a vessel, both by the government that is engaging in criminal conduct. She is a vessel of the devil himself. All right, the devil you cannot see. The devil is a spirit and capable of influencing a group of people as you are demonstrating. As I have demonstrated, you're talking about identical behavior amongst strangers. So you have what is a demonic environment, booming coming through the walls, centered around what I am doing. I'm not a narcissist. I am not some person thinking that the universe centers around me. I am documenting what is a criminal system. That's how you monitor. All right. You are focused on a targeted individual. you are focused on someone because you're monitoring them and you are stalking them, necessarily so. And the evidence inextricably, inevitably is already established to that end. I am providing ongoing context because I am speaking to what is the punishment for engaging in that criminal system. And what is the punishment as you're documenting? I'm documenting not only the fact that they're monitoring, but the fact that the entity is continuing while they're monitoring their criminal conduct. They're continuing that conduct. That is in no way suggesting that they're not monitoring. The pattern of conduct is already established. That is suggesting the impermissible threat. The psychopath, that is a sex offender, listening to you disrobe, listening to you while you're engaged in personal conduct inside of a private space, monitoring as you make any subtle movement, using everything around you, including the air conditioner, including the noises through walls, including the television, including noises through the floor, and making what is supposed to be earthquakes every single day. Earthquakes while third parties that surround engaging in what is ordinary conduct. There's no earthquake when you're walking up and down the stairs, just like that third party group stalker demonstrated on video. There's no earthquake when you're opening and closing the door. You are also not experiencing an impact when the first floor are engaging in opening and closing their doors down there either. You're not experiencing an impact where they are group stalkers in the parking lot, opening and closing their trunks. What they're doing while I was showing on video is what they're doing while I'm in the room and I'm describing in real time. That's an impact by a group stalker that just closed their trunk. You're not feeling that impact. That is absolutely ridiculous, but that's what the state is doing. All right, this is the entity holding the box in its hand, hitting it with a hammer. All right, that's P.O.C. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing while I'm in the room. What I've described on my podcast, I just captured it on video. That's what they're doing while I'm inside of the room, and they maintain knowledge of what I'm doing, using that activity, sitting around in their car, waiting to open and close their doors, open and close their trunks, open and close the doors of the rooms, which the state uses to amplify, the state uses to create sensational activity. They're doing it literally on camera, and I'm providing the context of what you're looking at. All right. And so that's also the significance of that. It's 7:39 p.m. And this goes toward the prosecution of the people of the state, all of them that I have already documented, because it's an ongoing criminal act. It doesn't stop, and your criminal participation is not limited to the episode where the video that I capture you in, or the podcast that you happen to be featured in. It's ongoing criminal conduct, and that is one of the repercussions of engaging in group criminal conduct by a government. It's ongoing criminal conduct, and it is attributed to the group equally. All right. And so this is speaking to the threat that the people of the state of California pose, the criminal conduct, the incessant and the deliberate, the determination with which the sexually violent conduct that they're engaged in. They are perverts. This is a matter of documentation. They are sex offenders, exceedingly violent sex offenders. All right. And this is only one aspect of it. I've shown how the state molests with its tool for monitoring. Touching all over your person with light is a tool for monitoring. It's serving a criminal purpose, and you're also violating the person. That is sexual violence as well, because they're all surrounding you, monitoring you together while they're touching you with this engineered light. That is violation of an unprecedented amount. All right. The state is a sex offender. The state is facilitating that sexual violence. The people of the state of California fully engaged in that sexual violence. Every single third party that I have individually identified, prosecuted to that end. The people of the state of California are one group. They are the vicarious actor of the state that is engaged in operating a monitoring system. And that is what they continuously engage in while I am at this venue. P.O.C. is ceaseless, and it's 7:40 p.m. and P.O.C., as I'm showing in video and I'm demonstrating on my podcast, which is direct evidence against the people of the state. This is going toward every third party that's already been documented and to be identified as the psychopath, group stalking, sex offender that they are. Regardless of how major or minor it may seem, their conduct may have seemed for purposes of participation in the criminal act, because it's participation in the criminal act regardless. But you're talking about the one who's driving past versus the one who is loitering in relevant position and stalking or engaging in kidnapping. Understand it is equally criminal, and it is equally liberally applied and prosecuted to the entirety of the group, regardless of the how you want to minimize or maximize the specific criminal participation that they engaged in. They engage in the criminal elements, you're engaged in that criminal system, and you're going to be prosecuted for all of that which is occurring pursuant to group stalking and monitoring an American citizen. All of it. All right. It's 7:41 p.m. and that is P.O.C.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. It is still April 28th, 2021. It's currently 10:28 p.m. I want to go ahead and follow up with the state's ongoing criminal conduct using the method of as opposed to the group stalkers that use their voice, use their presence, which the state amplifies in volume, slam in their trunks, their doors, the rooms, and the state creates an earthquake as they're closing their doors, is engaging in what is group demonic conduct, which is monitoring with communication devices. At around 10:20 p.m., the state engages in, that's a plane. That's the amplification of plane activity while they're listening to me document. It's 10:29 p.m. So approximately 10 minutes ago, that was at around 10:28 p.m., the state using a helicopter activity and exceptionally loud while I am in the midst of reviewing videos on my website, thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com, where I'm reviewing the videos that I accumulated starting, I believe it's March 11th, and the videos that I'm posting on that website showing, I'm actually focusing on the light conduct that you can see every day, where the state is present with its light source. And as I come out of the room and I'm documenting the environment, and you're seeing the placement of the state's fake sun remaining over the parking lot, just as I said, from quote unquote sunrise 7 a.m. over the pool of Economy Inn at 2301. And literally 12 hours later, at the end of the day, 7 p.m., as I even captured in video, the state's fake sun, although the state engaged in deviating and moving it to the opposite side of the roof, such that I had to walk to the other side where 222 is in order to get what is the fake sun remaining over the property all day long, aiming light onto the property all day long. This is the documentation that I'm reviewing on my website while the state engages in patrolling. That is flying about repeatedly in an exceptionally loud manner while it is monitoring my review of the video. That is evidence against it, the entity that's stalking and monitoring. That is an expression of hostility as it is patrolling and repeatedly flying about at 10:18 p.m. and continuously up until 10:21, 10:22 p.m. And this is while I'm reviewing the videos. And again, at 10:29 p.m., as I am creating this podcast, the state creates plane activity amplified inside of the room necessarily. So I've shown you what the state does as the pattern of conduct. Not only is it stalking by using airplanes, it's actually turning up the volume of plane activity inside of the room as it is stalking in a literal airplane and a literal helicopter. This is irrespective of the actual elevation that the state is flying in. Doing so as I begin speaking on my podcast. Flying by helicopter, engaging in the expression of hostility pursuant to their ongoing stalking in what is a government aircraft, the helicopter, while they're monitoring my documentation that I have published on my website about the ongoing federal group stalking and monitoring, and the hallmark that is the state's fake sun, the light source that remains over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, Economy Inn, where I remain, including directly over my room, to the left of my room, and then to the right of the room. That's essentially what they're doing, and you're looking at the times, you're looking at the light. This is what I'm reviewing while the state is engaging in that helicopter activity, and that's P.O.C. Just want to go ahead and note that.